Namaskar, a very, very good morning. Vande Utkala Janani. I'm Anchor Shobna Mishra. On behalf of this beautiful family, Dharitri and Odisha Post, let me extend a warm welcome to all our invitees, all our dignitaries, all the climatologists, all the climate savers, protectors of Mother Earth, everyone who loves climate, everyone who loves a good climate, perfect environment, and everyone who wants to keep this nature as good as we have got to pass it on as our legacy to the next generation. Thank you so much for your presence at Dharitri Youth Conclave 2024 Climate Change Building Resilience. Could we have a round of applause to start the day, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you very much. Now may I request our honorable dignitaries and the hosts of the house to kindly get started with the lamplighting ceremony. May I invite to the front today's Honorable Lifetime Achievement Awardee, Shri Jamuna Tudu, today's esteemed keynote speaker, Professor Sukumar Raman, esteemed jury for climate grant, Shri Charudatta Panigrahi, Honorable Editor, Dharitri and Odisha Post, Shri Tathagata Satpathy, Honorable CEO, Dharitri and Odisha Post, Srimati Adyasa Satpathy, to kindly come to the front and light the lamp to mark the start of today's Youth Conclave 2024. I would thank Srimati Jamuna Tudu, Professor Sukumar Raman, Shri Charudatta Panigrahi, Shri Tathagat Satpathy and Srimati Adyasa Satpathy for doing the honor. Please have your seats. ଆମେ ଆଶା କରିବା ଏହି ପ୍ରଦୀପ ସହିତ ଆମ ଜୀବନରେ ସୁଖ ସମୃଦ୍ଧି ଆଉ ଶାନ୍ତି ଭରିଯାଉ। ୟୁଥ୍ କନକ୍ଲେଭ୍ 2024 ନିଜର ସଫଳତମ ଶୀର୍ଷରେ ନିଶ୍ଚୟ ପହଞ୍ଚୁ। ବହୁତ ବହୁତ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ। Now, ladies and gentlemen, once again, a very, very good morning. Expert panelists, speakers, guests, and all the bright young faces present before me. Welcome to the 4th edition of Dharitri Youth Conclave on Climate Change. Today, let me tell you this amazing, beautiful thing. Dharitri completes 50 years and we have just reached the 51st year of our journey. A very, very happy half-century birthday to our beloved Dharitri family. That includes you as well. I feel privileged to welcome you all here on behalf of Dharitri family. Dharitri was started in 1974 by the illustrious literature Kalindi Charana Panigrahi. Known as one of the most impartial newspapers of the state, Dharitri, led by Shri Tathagata Satpathy as the present editor, has stayed true to its pro-people stance till date. At the same time, issues related to youth and environment have always stayed close to its core values. Dharitri has consistently given coverage to environmental issues, be it forest degradation, coastal erosion, agricultural crisis, and the fallout of environmental damage in its own pages. The Hathi Banchao Hathi Misao campaign, Hatha Misao campaign, was started a decade back, and today we come full circle as we will. Odisha has been facing the brutal effects of climate change for decades now, be it in form of severe cyclonic storms, heat waves, sudden floods, followed by droughts and recurrent lightning deaths, apart from raging forest fires and erratic rains in more recent times. As they say, the future is borrowed from the young. It is the youth and children who can bring about change at deeper levels. Every action and non-action right now has a direct impact on the future of youngsters and the next generation who are sitting in front of us. I'm delighted to welcome the young speakers here today to speak their minds and heart out to us. Girl power, it is here in the house as well. It is my pleasure to welcome our eminent panelists and moderator who have taken time out of their busy schedules to share their experience with youngsters at this conclave. I would also welcome the nationally acclaimed performers who will be delighting us with their special performance curated specifically for our Youth Conclave 2024. I would welcome the help and support from our partners and sponsors without whom this event would not have been possible. We would really appreciate the contribution of each one of you present here to make this happen. We are ready to begin Youth Conclave 2024 by Dharitri, Climate Change, Building Resilience. Let's begin, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, to present the official welcome address, may I invite our honorable editor, but before I have him on the dais, I would give a brief about him. Shri Tathagata Satpathy is a very well-known name in Odisha. An editor and politician with an unblemished image, he has been a member of the Legislative Assembly, a 4-time member of Parliament in Lok Sabha from his beloved constituency, Dhenkanal. He voluntarily chose to quit political life and returned to full-time journalism in 2019. An alumnus of the Sri Aurobindo School of Integral Education in Pondicherry, Sri Satpathy took over as the editor of Dharitri in 1986 and turned it into one of the most popularly trusted newspapers that has now emerged as a successful brand known throughout the Odia-speaking world. Passionate about the environment, conservation and issues concerning the youth, Mr. Satpathy is known for his fearless vocalization of views on important matters of policy and polity. His strong editorials have many a times pointed out social injustice and helped bring justice to the affected. As the editor of Odisha Post English Daily and Dharitri Odia Daily, Mr. Satpathy wields the pen to bring about social change and justice. Now may I invite Shri Tathagata Satpathy, Honorable Editor, Dharitri and Odisha Post to the dais to offer the welcome address for Dharitri Youth Conclave 2024.
नमस्कार प्रणाम जोहार आजिर यही शुभ सकाळ रे आम सम्मुखरे मो सम्मुखरे गोटे भर्ती हॉल मन को खुशी करुची इट गिव्स मी इमेंस प्लेजर टू बी हियर टू हैव द opportunity of interacting with all of you. I welcome our esteemed guests, starting from today. Dr. Sukumar Raman, Professor, Doctor. He has many students even in this state who today hold very many important designations, but he is a very sublime and a very humble person, because I think primarily because he's so learned. So when you learn too much, when you have a lot of knowledge, you become humbler, and he's a great example. He is the one who in 2014 sort of kick-started Dharitri's involvement with the environment, when in 2014 we had invited the then Chief Minister Shri Naveen Patnaik and Mr. Sukumar Raman, and the subject at that time was Hatti Banchao, Hatto Misao, and for quite some time we had continued that drive, and if some of you, there are quite a few here who would be toddlers at that time, but those of us who are yet to mature, like me and Dr. Raman and others, we are in the process of, we are trying to mature, and other guests, a few other guests. At that time, there was an event where there was a spate of deaths of elephants in Odisha, and that had prompted us, and he was the leading light at that time who had not instigated, but in a way instigated us to get into this thing. So today, when I stand here on 24 November 2024, this is also to mark the 10th year of our ongoing efforts at environmental protection, wildlife protection, environmental action, not just speeches, but Dharitri has actually done groundwork, for which I have to thank Arun Krishnamurthy, a very young man. He's not living in Odisha, but his heart is always with Odisha. He has been instrumental in working out many projects at the ground level, from Khordha district to Hindol, to other parts of Dhenkanal, Angul, and we propose to go along with him throughout Odisha. And the mission that he is on in Odisha is protection of water bodies, and Dharitri has been actively involved with Arun Babu in that effort. I would like to thank our guest, Punyaslok Bhaduri ji. I think he has already come here. And Ms. Hita Lakhani, she is also here. Oh, there she is. I didn't meet her last evening, but the lady is here. Dibyakant Babu, Dibyakant Naik is here with us. Soumya Ranjan Biswal and Satyavrata Babu are two souls who have been with us, with Dharitri, and personally with me for a long time. And we have been undertaking very many activities at the ground level, or rather they have been undertaking the activities, and there is a word in Odia called Nipothe Kolahalo. So Soumya Babu hele ki Satya Babu hele jetale kama karanti ame sab jaikiri Nipothe Kolahalo karu. So ame seta kari aschu. And of course, nothing would be possible for me, nothing can be done by me unless the soft hands of Mrs. Adyasha Satpathy are at it. And the lady is always wired, tense, and toiling. So WTT is my word for her. And she's always busy thinking, planning, and executing. Not just thinking, planning, and ordering, but she executes, and she's constantly in touch with whatever is happening in Dharitri and in our little universe, which is not so little, because when I see all of you here, I'm impressed that she's interacting with a huge universe. Dharitri has completed its half century, 50 years. We commence on our 51st year today. In the media world, 50 years is not a very long time. It's actually a young newspaper. And yet, I am happy that with the blessings of Lord Jagannath, blessings of Allah, of Christ, whomever you think is your God, but more than that, because of the blessings of nature, Dharitri has been able to successfully, without any money bags supporting it, without any industrial backup, without any governmental largesse, it has been successful primarily because of its pro-people. I'm not saying pro-poor, because it is not always the poor who are necessarily doing all the good things. But the pro-people attitude of Dharitri has helped it gain a reputation of honesty and of being direct in its approach to issues which are social, economic, and political also, which others try to stay away from, whereas we go headlong, not caring what the repercussions will be or what the fallout will be. Right now, a small example comes to my mind, and I cannot refrain myself from not mentioning it, but I have to speak it out. Recently, the government, both at the center and the state, asked all newspapers to carry a photograph of the Union Home Minister, of the Union Education Minister, of the Chief Minister of Odisha, and a lot of people, in which they said that Hindi will be encouraged by the government in Odisha. So all the newspapers reported the news, including Dharitri, including Odisha Post. Everybody did it because it was an event, it was an incident. But after that, Dharitri did a whole 2-page layout, centerfold, and we went across the state to all 30 districts, asked the opinions of educationists, social workers, social leaders. We kept out only political people out of that ambit. And we asked linguists like Shri Debi Patnaik, who's a known Odia crusader. And we started by interviewing all of them and asking them what do they think of this effort. And very many interesting aspects came up, and one of them said that it is very easy to kill one regional language with another regional language if there is government protection or government encouragement to a particular language. And how is that possible? So in the reply, the gentleman said that at the school level, if you start giving a particular language, say 60 marks, and your local language 20 marks, people would prefer to go for the other language, because even if they are average students, they would get 30 marks or 35 marks. But with the local language, if they are average students, they would get 20 marks. So 10 marks difference, 15 marks difference can be a turning point for a student at a very initial stage of school. And Hindi, being a regional language, parts of northern India use that. Odia is a regional language which is used in parts of Odisha. Odisha has many other tribal languages. Odisha has Koshali also, which is a language without script. The script is Odia, but it has also its own characteristics. So Odia also is a very varied language. So it is easy to kill a language which is geographically not very expansive. And that was one story we did. And we just gave one example of one letter in Odia. It is Oro, which is not a law, or it is not Oro, but it is Oro. And that was what was at the center of the page. And the idea was that every language has its unique aspects. Like all Sanskrit-derived languages have a line on top. Odia, being a non-Sanskrit based language, does not have a line on top of its letters. So these are small things, but these give a character to a people, to a race, to a speaker of a language, where there is happiness that I speak my language. So Dharitri does this kind of uh, reporting, which I think, in Odisha at least, not many publications are willing to uh, get into because they think it will have political fallouts. We have, luckily, whoever has been in power in Odisha as of now, they have all uh, not really liked Dharitri, but they have also not been, we have never been anybody's favorites, but they have also not been, because of the characteristics of Dharitri, they have not been uh, able to, I would say, with a little bit of happiness in my heart, they have not been able to twist our neck the way they would like. So we have been, till now, freedom is a dream that every media wants to see, and we also have that thing. But to a great extent, when a lot of other media are falling by the roadside, we have been able, when Arjuna, Bhima, and everybody fell on the roadside, only one of those 5 brothers could go up to heaven. I think all of you know which brother it is, and a dog with him. So we have kept 2 dogs at our home. One is a Labrador and the other is a Rottweiler. And we will be waiting to see if we go to heaven, whether one of them will also come along with us. Now, this is a very serious issue, and I am sure all of you appreciate, especially all of you who have dogs at home, to keep an eye on your pets, keep an eye on nature, keep an eye on your on the wild animals that survive. When you see a news that an elephant has died, take a moment out of your busy life, feel sorry for yourself, not for the elephant. Feel sorry for yourself. When you read a news, a small little news with a tiny little picture of 5, 6 hurly-burly, big, fat men standing with sticks and a poor little tiger, those leopards actually, they're not tigers, leopard, killed and battered. Take a moment out of your life and feel sorry for that animal, but feel sorry more for yourself, for the future of your children, your own future, how you are destroying it by destroying them. So this is what we have been trying to do in our own lives, whether it is a blade of grass, whether it's a wild animal, whether it's the trees, because just planting trees. Another thing I would like to say, I read recently that about 70% of the oxygen that we use that exists on Earth is actually not from trees or from the Earth's surface. Trees produce something like 18-19%, less than 20% of the oxygen. It is the smallest creature in the ocean which produces 70% of oxygen that all of us breathe and all of us survive with. So phytoplanktons, which are like virtually invisible to the naked eye, they are the ones who help us survive. So when I wind up, all that I would like you all to think about, that it is the smallest of the small who is responsible for us that we are breathing today. Our gratitude should be to nature. And when we talk about God, when we fight over religion, when we fight over so many things, about wealth, money, and the share market coming down, let us also think that so unconsciously we are breathing in and breathing out, emitting carbon dioxide, that little breath that is going in, that is what is making us stand apart from a dead body. So that little oxygen is what the world gives to us every moment. Let us be grateful And every morning when I wake up from my sleep, the first thing I do is I pray and I thank Mother Nature for giving me this oxygen and for allowing me to partake of it every day. Thank you very much for being patient. Thank you very much for being here today. And I wish all the best that all of you sitting in this hall today, for the next 10 years, may you all be breathing this pure, clean oxygen, not like Arun went to Delhi and promptly he fell ill. So let us not have a situation where we breathe in air like Delhi air. Let us live with a clean atmosphere and let us all live healthy, and may all of you present here in the next decade till Dharitri's action reaches the 20th year, nobody should have to spend even 1 rupee for a medical bill, for a prescription at a doctor's, at a hospital, or medicines. May they be deprived of your hard work, your earnings from your hard work. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your warm address. Now, actually, breathing pure air is a privilege that we have all taken for granted, that we have good and clean air here. Why to bother about what is happening in Delhi or in some other part of the world? So now, to encourage all our eminent climatologists, climate actors, climate savers, climate protectors, the people who are trying to stop at least the climate change, Team Dharitri introduced Climate Grant last year to be able to help some of our protectors. And this year, we have added another session to us, that is Green Heroes Speak. Yesterday, we had a lovely session. All applicants from all over the state had come, assembled at Press Club. We had a full day with all of them. They all shared their experience, their work, what all spheres and fields they are working, and also it was a very beautiful opportunity for them to collaborate and to start a new journey. Say somebody is working at Kendrapada and some other part somebody else is working, and they probably didn't know each other. Yesterday that magic happened, and we are so happy that the same climate warriors are here today along with all our students and invitees here. So for them, the climate warriors, this year the Youth Conclave is actually working for 2 days. Now, also they mentioned that every year when November comes, for Dharitri family and all the climate enthusiasts and climate protectors, it feels for them like a festival, jemti ame gote parba palano karu. And we are very, very thankful that you mentioned this beautiful word, because festival is so much important to us. Au gata kali prathamashtami madhya thila. एते सुंदर दिन रे आमे समस्त देखा हिथिलु, एते सुंदर आइडियाज एक्सचेंज करिछु, सेति पई समस्त को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद जणेबु. आमे आहुरी किछि अधिक सुनिबा ओ जानिबा हमर परवर्ती वक्तांक ठारू. Let me have the privilege of welcoming her to the stage. She would be our honorable CEO. Before I invite her to the dais, let me give you all a brief. Shrimati Adyasa Satpathy, CEO of Dharitri and Odisha Post, got actively involved with Dharitri in the early 2000s and added a corporate management and HR style to the mix, attracting young journalists and professionals to the media house. Odisha Post, the state's only homegrown English daily, was the brainchild of Adyasha Satpathy, who had long felt there was a vacuum for credible local news in English. Over the years, both Dharitri and Odisha Post have expanded under her vision, quickly adapting to fit the digital space. Her stress on social media strategies have led both the newspapers to make their digital presence felt, with web channels leading the way in digital reporting in the state. A proud alumnus of Stewart School, Bhubaneswar, she feels media has a huge responsibility as a watchdog and protector of people's rights. Her commitment to climate action remains steadfast, and she is determined to continue in the mission to bring environmental awareness among the youth in Odisha. She was listed among top 30 women in India by Outlook magazine's Women Architects of New India 2024 for outstanding contribution to fair journalism practices in Dharitri and Odisha Post and her climate action initiatives. Now may I have the privilege of requesting the presence of Honorable CEO Dharitri and Odisha Post Srimati Adyasha Satpathy on the dais, please.
Thank you, Shobna. A very, very good morning to all present here. Namaskar, Juhar, Salam. I'm very, very happy to see such bright faces, everyone ready to discuss climate challenges here. Before that, I would like to acknowledge the trouble our special guests have taken to accept our invitation and to come here. Shri Sukumar Ramanji, we are very grateful for your presence. And as Shri Satpathy has already mentioned, we come full circle. 10 years ago, you were here and you put stress on the plight of elephants, and we are eager to hear from you. Srimati Jamuna Tuduji, we are very grateful you took the time to come and be with us here today. We would be eager to hear your stories, which I'm sure will inspire everyone here. Sri Arun Krishnamurthy, he has always been with us like a friend, a guide, and we hope to continue this relationship with Arunji further. Sir Dibbakant Naikji, we're very happy that you accepted our invitation. You are here. Punya Slok Bhaduriji, we are eager to hear what you have to say, the tips that we can take, and hopefully some of the climate warriors here can implement. Ms. Hita Lakhani, very grateful that you found time for us, accepted our invitation, and you're sitting all bright and pretty. Thank you so much. Of course, our jury, eminent jury, Sir Charudat Panigrahi ji and Soumya Biswal Babu, very grateful for your active involvement with the process of choosing the climate grant winners, and all our partners, all the sponsors, and people who have been with us for a very long time. Satyabrata Babu from Satvik Soul, Ahwan Foundation, and all the other climate heroes who have always been with Dharitri very actively as volunteers. If I have not named some of you, we were there together yesterday and we've had interactions. A lot of us were there together, so I will not be able to take 100+ names, but you know who you are and you know who I'm referring to. We are so very grateful for the work you're doing in Odisha. We acknowledge, appreciate, and would always love to support you in the work you do. And I would like to speak a few words about the Dharitri Climate Grant, because of course, Shri Satpathy has already spoken about Dharitri's journey as we complete 50 years and we step into our 51st year. He, of course, said that it is a very small journey for a newspaper, a life of a newspaper. I feel that, 50 years is also a longish time to survive, to be relevant, which we are, to stay active in a world where there's a lot of competition in the media world, to be noticed and trusted by your readers. When we get a little call from a reader that, this is an article that really impacted my life, or this is one news item that was placed in Dharitri and I read it and it made me think. So we are inspired with that. There's a lot of, with social media growing, it's a great thing, but also credible journalism becomes a bit of a challenge. There's a lot of information, and we feel as a print media, responsible print media, it is our responsibility to stick to credible news, and Dharitri takes pride in double-checking, fact-checking, and maintaining an impartial stance, a pro-people stance. And I would like to give credit to all our journalists, especially district correspondents. And of course, the vision that our editor Sri Satpathy has always talked about, he always repeats in at office and talks to the journalists. I'm sure it inspires everyone to stay brave, because in journalism, you have to be brave. You cannot be scared of repercussions. You cannot be kind of hiding the truth or speaking half truths. If you want to be noticed long term, be with the people long term, and earn the trust of your readers. Because once you do that, it's a short-term journey. You might get, some people supporting you, some sponsors, but you finally need the trust of your readers. They are the most important. And to keep the trust of readers, you have to have courage, which Mr. Satpathy has loads of it and gives us courage also to stay true to our path. I would like to thank all of you present here before I begin with a very short intro of the Dharitri Climate Grant. Dharitri Climate Grant was started last year when we realized that there is a need to acknowledge grassroots environmentalists who are doing very good work, but in a way they are lone warriors in their fields. They are directly deep into climate action, so they do not get a chance to showcase themselves. Most of them are there relentlessly putting in work in their areas, respective areas where they come from. And each step, I would feel, matters a lot. Whether we believe someone might not have the right vision, he might be planting the wrong kind of tree in the right kind of region, or there are criticisms like that we hear of. Okay, he's passionate, but this guy does not know what to do really with his passion, or that is a big group of individuals in an organization, but they don't know exactly where to place themselves. They're doing everything, planting of trees, along with various activities. But I feel every single action, every little step that environmentalists are taking, especially grassroots environmentalists are taking, we are not doing that. I mean, here we are today in a mix of grassroots environmentalists who are doing their bit. Of course, they would need a little bit of help from each other, maybe from us, maybe from experts, to have course correction in vision, or somebody who has the vision but does not have logistical support. We can support each other and back each other up. Somebody who knows exactly what to do, but let's say doesn't have enough volunteers or community support. Of course, we can all collaborate, and there can always be course correction. But at least here is somebody who wants to do something, who already realizes that there is action that is needed. And we want to support that. We want to encourage that. We have stayed in touch with a lot of grassroots environmentalists, and we were discussing on ideas yesterday. Everyone has great ideas. We will all need to collaborate, and we will continue to do so. And with the Dharitri Climate Grant, of course, we are taking a few of these very, very bright environmentalists or environmental organizations and acknowledging their contribution in their local areas, which would inspire others to kind of follow in their footsteps and do the same. So Dharitri Climate Grant, I would like to thank again Charu Babu and Soumya Babu. We went through a huge process of selection. There were a lot of applications that came in. Yesterday we had a map of Odisha, and we had environmentalists putting in pins, green pins on where they come from. And of course, predictably, it was mostly the coastal zone there of Odisha, which of course needs more action, but we would like to encourage environmentalists and grassroots climate warriors in other parts of Odisha also. There was a spattering of green, I'm sure, everywhere, but mostly in the coastal zone. So the coastal zone environmentalists can definitely collaborate and help other climate warriors who need some sort of support, vision support and logistical support. We are happy to do that also and collaborate. Thank you all so much for coming here, for always being with us. A lot of you have been part of this journey, not new faces and some new faces. And I'm very, very happy and grateful for the support that you've given us. And happy birthday, Dharitri, again. As we begin, thank you all so much.
Thank you very much, madam, for the address and for also letting us know more about the climate grant. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we come for the next speaker's address, who has agreed to be our keynote speaker today. Before I have the privilege of inviting him to the dais, may I present a brief about him? Dr. Raman Sukumar. We are very, very honored to have you here with us, the National Science Chair at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He is a pioneering ecologist whose work on Asian elephants has had a profound impact on both conservation science and bridging the gap between scientific research and practical conservation efforts. Dr. Sukumar's journey began in Madras, where his early experience sparked a lifelong passion for environmental protection. As a professor at the Center for Ecological Sciences, he has mentored generations of students and researchers, shaping the field of wildlife conservation in India. He has also contributed extensively to Indian government's policy on wildlife conservation and was one of the architects of the country's flagship conservation initiatives, namely Project Elephant, launched in 1992. His accolades include prestigious honors such as the Whitley Gold Award and the International Cosmos Prize, among others. I think we can maybe have a big round of applause for it. He was elected Vice Chair of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change during the recently held elections at the United Nations Environment Programme headquarters in Nairobi. Dr. Sukumar's contributions go beyond academia, with his insights influencing policy and wildlife management practices. We are excited to hear his perspective on this occasion. Let us welcome him on the stage. May we request for the presence of our keynote speaker, Professor Sukumar Raman, on the dais, please. And I would invite our editor, Shri Tathagat Satpathy, to the stage to greet and felicitate Dr. Sukumar Raman on the stage, please, before he starts his address. Namaskar, sir. A very good morning and warm welcome to Dharitri Youth Conclave 2024. Thank you, Shri Satpathy. Sir, before you start, may I just mention that after Dr. Sukumar Raman finishes his address, we will have 5 questions from the audience for sir. If you feel like asking some important questions regarding the address and regarding anything about the climate change, please feel free. May I request Professor Sukumar Raman, please.
Thank you very much. Namaskar. A very good morning to everyone. Sri Tatakata Satpati ji, Srimati Adyasha Satpati, the organizers of Dharitri, with whom I've been associated for 10 years now. I'm truly humbled to be here today. I'm truly humbled. Now, to be an audience of very young people and to learn that Dharitri has organized a youth conclave, because the future of the world is obviously with the youth. And I see that the youth have turned out in such large numbers. I'm also truly humbled to be here in the presence of Srimati Jamuna Tuduji, who has worked for the protection of the forests of Jharkhand. I feel a very close connect with her, with my co-panelists, and with everyone here. When Satpati ji called me about 2 months ago and told me to talk about climate change and elephants, I first thought to myself, how do I connect the elephant and climate change? Elephant is the elephant, as you know, and climate change is something that is holding center stage at all levels today, from the international right down to the local levels today. And you know, the COP29 is going on in Azerbaijan. It almost ended in a failure, but there is some partial success that was achieved yesterday. My thoughts actually went back to the link between the elephant and climate in our ancient literature, or I would say our ancient poetry. Kalidasa's poetry is very eloquent when it likens a herd of elephants, the arrival of a herd of elephants, to the arrival of the monsoon in India. And the Sangram poems speak about how a herd of elephants that is crossing over a mountain range, it's like the dark monsoon clouds that rolls over the hills. So the elephant and the climate has had a very intricate connection in our imagination since ancient times. So it's very easy to connect elephants and climate. How do you connect it with climate change? That is going to be the challenge, and I'll try to speak about it today. You know that since the past about 30 years or so, elephants in the state of Odisha, the neighboring state of Jharkhand, they are causing major management challenges. This is not only to the government, the forest department, the wildlife officials, but right down at the level of the villages, the local communities, with what we see as, or we term today as, human-wildlife conflicts. In the 1980s, when I began my research on elephants, I did research on conflicts, but the levels of conflict were much, much, much lower than what it is today. In the early 1980s, we used to think about poaching for ivory, and poaching for ivory for tusks was prevalent mostly in the southern part of India, not so much in other parts of India. And that was the major point of discussion at that time. But since the late 1980s, elephants in the country have been changing their movement patterns. They have been moving out of the forest areas. They are going out into the agricultural landscapes. They are going into human settlements. They are going into villages. They are breaking into houses in search of food grains and salt and sometimes country-made liquor. They are breaking into Food Corporation of India godowns, and whole scale they are leaving certain states, especially Jharkhand and Odisha, and they are marching westward into Chhattisgarh, to Madhya Pradesh, and most recently into Maharashtra, Gadchiroli district. In fact, you must have read in the media a few weeks ago that in Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve in Madhya Pradesh, a herd of 10 elephants, a herd was found dead after they had consumed kodo millet. Initially, there was a lot of suspicion as to what had happened. People suspected foul play, that the elephants had been poisoned by the local people, by the farmers. But when I first read about this incident, my thoughts did not go in the direction of foul play at all. It went back to an article I had read in 1983 about a similar incident of a herd of 14 elephants that had died in 1933. In 1933, in Tamil Nadu, they had eaten kodo millet and something had poisoned these elephants. The reason I'm mentioning this is that there is a link between climate change and this particular incident of elephants being poisoned. What had happened is that when you have, at the time of harvest of your crops, and agriculture is the mainstay of the population of India. We are a country of 1.4 billion people. And when you have unseasonal rains at the time of harvest, or when the grain is being stored, is being harvested and stored, you have unseasonal rains, there is an attack by certain species of fungal attack. And some of these fungi, they produce toxins. These are not very common, they are quite rare. That article that I had read in 1983 about the incident in 1933, is almost 100 years old, spoke about people who ate this crop, millet, called varagu. Varagu is kodo millet in Tamil. They called it kirikku varagu. Kirikku means madness. You call somebody kirikku means that person is mad. People recognized that anyone feeding on that millet had delirium or signs of madness. They did not understand what it was all about. They had their local knowledge about how to counter it. They would take tamarind, put it in water, drink tamarind water, and that was the antidote. This is a classic example of what I call traditional knowledge in adaptation to a poison that has happened inadvertently or whatever. So this is something that I then conveyed to the government of Madhya Pradesh, that it most probably is because of fungal poisoning, a mycotoxin. And the postmortem reports came out, they found that it was exactly that. It was a toxin that was produced by a fungus that had caused the death of this. The reason I'm mentioning this is that this year, last month, you had a big cyclonic depression that came into Odisha. And Odisha, with climate change, is going to suffer from severe cyclones. It's a topic that I'll come to. But that cyclonic system brought so much of moisture into Odisha and that went into Madhya Pradesh. There were certain rains when the farmers had harvested the millet, and millet is also obviously also grown in Odisha. And it had caused this problem. Not only elephants can die, your livestock can die, cattle can die, people can be poisoned. This is something that is fairly well known in the literature today. So climate change is bringing new challenges. In this particular case, the death of 10 elephants. But the more serious problem is that elephants in central India have been moving out of the forest and they've been moving into adjoining states that I mentioned. And we can ask a question as to why are these elephants moving out? Now, the answer is not very simple. In science, as a scientist, you have to think very, very carefully. It is very easy to say that we have destroyed the forest. Yes, humans have destroyed the forest. It's very easy to say that we have fragmented the forest. Yes, we have fragmented our forests. But yet, there are many examples of places where you have a good forest cover. You take Simlipal in Odisha. It's still about 7,000 square kilometers of forested area. Very, very large area of forest. You take places in the Western Ghats where you have intact forests in the states of Kerala, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Very large stretches of forest. Yet, even in these areas, you have conflicts. The elephants are not very happy, not satisfied being inside these forests. They are coming out of the forest. Now, when you degrade the forest, when you fragment the forest, yes, you will get repercussions. The elephants will come out and will try to seek, their forage or their food in agricultural landscape. But why is it that even when you have intact forest areas, the elephants are coming out? There can be many reasons. One reason is that the crops that we cultivate are very, very attractive. They are very abundant. They are very tasty to the elephants. And they are very nutritious to the elephants. Therefore, why should they have a hard life inside the forest? It's easy to come out of the forest and feed on the agricultural crops. And this is one of the attractions. The second reason, which may have played a role in central India, I know it has played a role in South India many years ago, many decades ago, is climate change, or I would say climate variability. Let me explain this in a little more detail, because it is very important to have a proper understanding of this. When we are understanding why there is this big churning out of the elephant population that is taking place in central India, more than in any other parts of the country. In 1982, I was doing research in South India, in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu on elephants. In 1982, there was a big major drought. The rainfall failed miserably in 1982. 50% failure of the rainfall, 50% deficit of the rainfall. The next year in 1983, the areas where I would normally go and see the elephants were not there. I could not get observations of the elephants. Where had the elephants gone? I had absolutely no idea. What happened that year? Because of the big drought, the forest had completely dried up. The water sources had completely dried up. Elephants from Tamil Nadu and Karnataka started moving northward into Andhra Pradesh. In Andhra, wild elephants had not been known for the last 300 years. For the first time, on a significant scale, elephants from Karnataka and Tamil Nadu started going into Andhra. Now the question is, at that time, would these elephants survive in Andhra? Many of us experts said, very difficult, because Andhra does not have the forest areas, the habitats for them to survive. But the then Chief Minister said, no, we want, because Lord Ganesha has come to our state. Lord Ganesha has come to our state. So let us welcome Lord Ganesha to our state. About 50 elephants, Andhra set up a sanctuary for the protection of the elephants. These elephants were in intense conflict with people. A lot of people died. A lot of agricultural crops were damaged. These elephants did not stay in the sanctuary. After some years, they left the sanctuary and started wandering all over different parts of Andhra, causing immense conflict. It's a process that still happens today on a mini scale. So this was a precursor of what started happening in the late 1980s and through the 1990s in central India. When elephants from Jharkhand started going to South Bengal, when elephants from Odisha now started going into Chhattisgarh and into Madhya Pradesh, I very strongly suspect a climate connection. These climate change is something that, let us not think that climate change happens only when suddenly in one summer you get very, very high temperature, or you have a very strong cyclonic storm coming into Odisha. Yes, you had the super cyclone, I remember 15 or 20 years ago. It is a manifestation of climate change. But climate change is also happening very, very, very gradually. Very gradually. It is so subtle that it is not very visible to the common people. Maybe scientists can measure over 100 years, over the past 100 years, the Earth's temperature has risen by about 1 degree, 1.2 degrees. Now, in our lifetime, that kind of an average is very, very difficult to pick up. But that 1 degree rise or a further 1 degree rise will cause major changes in our habitat, in our natural ecosystems. Even half a degree on average rise. And when you have a drought or you have a cyclonic storm, this can make a major impact on the habitat. I strongly suspect a climate connection in the elephants leaving Odisha and Jharkhand and going into states like South Bengal and Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh. Elephants had not been there since the Mughal times. Since the Mughal times, there were no elephants. The last 300 years, there are hardly any elephants in those areas. The second aspect, of course, which is more peculiar to central India, is that of mining. Mining has ravaged the habitats, the natural forest areas of Jharkhand and Odisha. I have traveled extensively. My connection with Odisha has been over the past about 30 years or so. And over the past 20 years, I have traveled extensively across Odisha, Kalahandi, Kandhamal, South Odisha, Keonjhar, all the different districts of Odisha, pretty much I have covered. I know the situation. Similarly, in Jharkhand, I have traveled extensively in the last 20 or 25 years. And I will come to the mining link later. Mining has caused changes in the habitat, in the natural forests, and the climate event is now a trigger, the final trigger that tells that, trigger for the elephants that I cannot make my living here. I have to now leave this state and I have to go somewhere else. This is like, they are like almost like our economic refugees. Now, India, large numbers of people leave our country and go for fresh, better pastures in Western countries and European countries and United States and so on and so forth. Something akin to that. So, it is a combination of both changes that we humans are doing to the natural forest and not doing enough to restore the habitat. Something I will cover a little bit later. At the same time, there is the climate overriding climate connections. So I believe that these two factors are combining to cause this escalation in elephant-human conflicts. I know that in the state of Odisha, at least 100 people are killed each year by wild elephants. Anywhere between 50 and 100 people die of unnatural deaths every year. Therefore, both people suffer and elephants suffer. And this suffering is also now exported to the other states. Because the elephants from Odisha and Jharkhand that have migrated to Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, they are causing enormous problems in those states. The elephants are also dying, people are dying, and there's a lot of problems in terms of agriculture, loss of crops. Now, climate change, what does it portend for all of us, for the lives of all of us here? Although I have worked at the grassroots level, when it comes to elephant-human conflict, in many states I have worked at the grassroots level, from the grassroots to the international. My engagement with climate change at the level of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is only largely at the policy level, at the international level. It's actually people like you, who are working at the grassroots level, who can actually make a change. At the international level, what is happening in the COP29, all the political wrangling that is actually going on, all the funding that we are seeking and we are failing or whatever, can perhaps make some change. But the real change will come only at the grassroots level, will people like you, the younger people, grassroots level NGOs, organizations, local communities that can actually make a change. Climate change is going to cause, the problem about understanding climate change is this. Climate change means temperature is going to increase. We all know that. In India, we know that temperature has already changed across the country. We know that the glaciers in the Himalaya are melting. We know that the water availability in the different rivers and streams are already changing with impacts on the livelihoods of the local communities. When it comes to the Indian monsoon, we're not very sure what is happening. Scientists also are not very sure how the Indian monsoon will change. There is a great deal of uncertainty. There's a great deal of uncertainty. Some scientists believe, some climate scientists believe that some parts of India, the rainfall will decline. Droughts will increase, especially in the northeast of the country. Other scientists believe that in some parts of the country, the monsoon will strengthen. It will bring more rainfall. And we are already seeing impacts of that, even if not so much in India. We saw it in Kerala, for instance. In recent years, there have been devastating rainfall events in the south and the western Ghats, causing major floods in states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and so on. And some events of that type have happened in Uttarakhand. It has happened in Assam. And it's not going to take very long. It need not be only in the form of a cyclonic storm or a very intense cyclone like the super cyclone that happened in Odisha. It can even come in the form of very heavy spells of rain. But we do not understand this very well. A lot of uncertainty. And that's a cause for worry. We know that temperature will change all across India. We know that northwest India, Delhi, Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan, will undergo the maximum amount of temperature change compared to southern parts. We are slightly better off because we have the ocean close by. The ocean gives us the protection. But we don't know how the monsoon is going to change. But we have to be prepared for extreme climate events. Extreme climate events can come in many forms. And especially in the last 5-6 years, we are seeing this all across the world. Sometimes scientists in developed countries, more than 30 years ago, I challenged a scientist from a developed country, from the US, who wrote an article in a very leading journal saying, what is all this climate change? We don't have to worry about it. Something like what the new president designate of the US is telling. We don't believe in climate change. This particular scientist wrote an article in a leading journal called Nature in 1991 saying, we don't have to worry about climate change. We have the technology. We have the money to be able to adapt to climate change. So why do we worry about climate change? In that article, there was not a single mention of whether developing countries like India or Bangladesh or Sudan or large parts of Africa, whether we have the technology, whether we have the funding or not. Not a mention of developing countries. Not a mention of sea level rise that can submerge entire countries like Maldives or can submerge a good part of Bangladesh. I was furious. I immediately wrote a rejoinder questioning this. How can this person be so arrogant to say that we have the technology and we have the money and we can take care of climate change? 1991. Okay. Has he given any thought? Has this person given any thought to how developing countries will survive? And at the end of it, I wrote, even developed countries, they really have the technology? Do they really have the resources to adapt to major climatic change, major climatic events, extreme climate events? Now, what is happening today? Canada has experienced huge forest fires. Canada is a developed country. You know, their per capita income is 10 times or 20 times that of India. Spain, European country, very developed country, the province of Valencia 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, 1 year's rainfall fell in 1 day in Valencia. 220 people died. I don't know if you have seen those images, in the media about entire streets with hundreds of cars all, floating as though they were floating in a given lake. We've had devastating forest fires in Australia. We've had what is called as bomb cyclones, hitting parts of North America. Right now, as we speak, there are bomb cyclones coming and hitting California. So it is not only the developing countries, but the developed countries also are highly vulnerable, and they don't have the technology to manage this. So what is happening at the international level today? IPCC, the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, where all the COP negotiations are going on, it's a battle between mitigation of climate change and adaptation to climate change. Mitigation is very important. Mitigation is very important because you have to bring down the level of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. You have to reduce, at a global scale I'm talking about, you have to reduce the emissions of greenhouse gases like CO2, methane, and so on and so forth. Otherwise, we are not going to meet the Paris goal of 1.5 degrees. We are not going to meet the goal of even 2 degrees rise in global temperatures. If it goes anywhere above 2, the Earth will be very, very, very different in terms of the climatic changes that can actually take place. It will become inhospitable. Many, many parts of the world will become inhospitable. People will still survive. Biodiversity will still survive. But there will be such a churning out of society, very large parts of the Earth, that people will have to migrate on scales unimaginable. But the burden of mitigation of reducing greenhouse gas emissions is squarely on the developed countries that are the historical emitters. And even today, even though India's greenhouse gas emissions are rising, we need to do our part. We still are far below the global average in terms of our greenhouse gas emissions. But on the other hand, irrespective of what we do, climate change is happening. And we have to adapt to climate change. And here is where each one of us has to play our role. The first thing I did when I came into this room, after a few minutes, I felt very cold. I told Satpati ji, sir, kindly tell the hotel to raise the temperature a little bit. For 2 reasons. One is all of us are feeling cold. At least I am feeling very cold. The second is we have to prepare for climate change. Let us raise the temperature a little bit in this room. I'm glad it has happened. Each one of us has to play our role in terms of what we can do as an individual. Okay. That is where the grassroots level is very important. The global climate negotiations, we can leave it to our government. Our government is doing its best, I can assure you, to maintain India's position, our right to our developmental needs, our genuine developmental needs. India is taking a very strong stand. And we are being supported by many other developing countries. So we want to get our due share at the global. Otherwise, India will not develop. We'll still remain a low to mid-level income country. That is happening. But each one of us has to play a role in this. There is a lot of talk about nature-based solutions. I'll just take few minutes now. I'll wind up. And I'll just tell you what we can do in Odisha. What we can do in the state of Odisha. When it comes to nature-based solutions is just very loosely mentioned sometimes in the literature. Nature-based means what? Nature-based. Developed countries can go on emitting greenhouse gases and we go on growing trees so that we can absorb all the pollution. No. It can play a role. Growing trees is very important. Protecting nature is very important. It will help mitigate climate change. But the only reason for that is not that because we are a dustbin of all the greenhouse gases being let out by all the developed countries. No, it is because for our own adaptation, for our own protection. India is a biomass-based civilization. very large proportion of our population is dependent on biomass, on forests. And the kind of sterling work that Jamuna ji and others are doing is basically because at the level of our communities, local communities, our indigenous people, our tribal communities, at least 300, 400 million people are directly dependent on forests. And therefore, we need to protect, we need to grow more forests, we need to do all of that. But we have to be careful about the choice of species. Where do we grow? What do we grow? How do we restore our natural ecosystems so as to maximize benefits, not for mitigation for pollution of developed countries, but supplying the genuine needs of local communities. That should be uppermost in our mind when we do our planting. Uppermost in our mind when we do our planting, because we have to create insurance in the choice of species, the places, and we have to reward local communities who are protecting land, who are protecting forests, who are restoring forest cover. Unfortunately, many of our laws are against for punishing communities for protecting land and protecting forests. I will not get into great amount of detail, but most of you may be aware of the fact. Tomorrow you have a piece of land, you grow 10 trees in that land, that will be declared as a deemed forest, and all kinds of restrictions will be put on your land. Therefore, it's a very strong disincentive for people to protect forest, to grow forest, to regenerate forests. We should create legal means to empower people to produce more and to improve their livelihoods rather than punish them for growing forests, for restoring forests, for protecting forests, for conserving wildlife. So this is one area. Second is that mangrove protection is extremely important. When in my work on the IPCC, I was looking at nature-based solutions. I led a small group a few years ago. The only very strong evidence for nature-based solutions, which being scientific evidence for helping in adaptation, is the coastal protection through growing of mangroves. Because mangroves will help you to withstand the storm surges. The storm surge that will happen with more and more cyclonic storms, more powerful storms coming and hitting our coast. The mangroves are going to be the frontline defenders of the coastline of Odisha. And therefore, there should be a big thrust in terms of improving the condition of mangroves. The third aspect I would like to talk about, that of indigenous knowledge systems and the role that indigenous knowledge systems can play in climate adaptation. For too long, Western science, all of us, I'm also a product of Western science, we have been very arrogant in thinking that we know everything about nature, that we know everything about science and about scientific methods, that people, local communities who are there, whether it be tribal or not tribal communities, what is the knowledge that they have? But today, in all international forums, indigenous knowledge is being given great importance with the right reason, because it is the people on the ground who are closest to nature. They know how to adapt, and they have adapted, either in terms of choice of crops, to the variety of crops to grow, under certain weather conditions, or how to manage the land to prevent forest fires. Forest fires was mentioned earlier by Satpathy ji, I think. Big forest fires. Today, in countries like Australia and Canada, they are now going back to indigenous knowledge systems. Because you had the indigenous people who had managed the land in such a fashion to reduce the fuel load and to be able to provide insurance against very, very fierce forest fires. And I've also written commentaries about this, about how we should use indigenous land management practices, forest management practices to lower the risk of forest fires. So indigenous knowledge is now being given greater importance in forums like IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. In IPBES, the Intergovernmental Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services. And India is a partner of IPCC, IPBES. So we, as a society, we should introspect and we should try to see how best we can work with local communities, indigenous people, tribal communities, use their knowledge systems, not be dismissive about them, and try to see how best we can try to use their knowledge for adaptation to climate change. It's extremely important. The last thing I would like to say is this. See, Odisha is unique in many ways to me. Odisha, to me, exemplifies, the people of Odisha in terms of their artistic talent. I've seen probably nowhere else in the country you will see the expression of art as you will see in Odisha. Most artistic region of our country. When I think of Odisha, I think of Kautilya Arthasastra, which talks about the elephants of the Kalinga Vana, one of the Gajavanas was Kalinga Vana, being the best elephants in the country, and the elephants of Kalinga Vana being the best suited for use in war. 2000 years ago, Kautilya Arthasastra said this, and it's a very different situation today. But today, I also realize, having gone all over Odisha in the last 20 years, Odisha is the most contrasting country in the world in terms of everything from poverty to great richness. It's a very rich state or a very poor state, the way you look at it. And this has brought a great deal of challenges. It's also a lot of opportunity. The richness that is being generated in the state of Odisha by all the corporates should be plowed back directly into the habitat restoration, whether it's the mining, restoration, or whatever else, and for the upliftment of people at all levels, right from the local level of the local communities. That's the best insurance that Odisha can have in terms of adapting to climate change. So with those words, I'd like to thank you very much, and thank you to Dharitri for inviting me to this talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Raman Sukumar sir, for the lovely keynote address. Ladies and gentlemen, now we are ready to take a few questions to keep in track with the time. Maybe we make it 3 instead of 5. So there are so many hands. Let's see. This, only young students.
Check. Hello, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I'm Kajal Kanhawa from Indian Institute of Mass Communication, Dhain Kanal. So, you've talked about the COP summit, and my question is regarding that only. So, to what extent you think that such summits and agreements like COP and Paris Agreement, and there are also initiatives taken by Indian government. So what do you think, to what extent such agreements and summits influence climate protection and efforts, and do they do it at all?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I kind of hinted upon this at my talk. See, money is not the only thing. We need to get the money. We need to have the resources. If there's a new technology, we should get it at a cheaper rate. If there's money that's coming in, should get the money. How that money is utilized scientifically, intelligently, for the betterment of the habitat, for the betterment of all communities. Okay, how that money is channelized. What are the most productive use of that money will help both in climate mitigation as well as in adaptation to climate change. That is extremely important. So unless we have systems in place that there is no leakage, money can come in. We have agreed upon $300 billion just yesterday, last night before the summit kind of adjourned, day late. But the intelligent use of that money to benefit society, across society, has to be. Only then it will help. But that depends on us. What efforts that we take. What are the policies that we have in place for climate adaptation. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, sir.
Who has the mic? Here? Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, my question is, what measures can be taken to reduce elephant train collision, and the role can what is the technology play preventing the elephant train collision, sir?
Sorry, the elephant train collision. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's a very technical question. See, essentially, I'll just be very brief. People talk about all kinds of different things. One is that, you need to know when an elephant or an elephant herd is coming towards the railway track. Okay. That information has to be conveyed to the engine driver who has to stop the train. So you can have thermal sensors, thermal sensor technology, other kinds of technologies that will detect the movement of elephants. When the elephant herd is about 200 meters, 300 meters away, because it takes some time to come to the railway track. And that information has to be transmitted through either the local railway station, or whatever, and then that signal has to go to the engine driver. Those are the only systems that will work. People talk about broadcasting sounds of bees and so on. All those things are all gimmicks, they will not work. But I can talk to you about it.
Sir, actually, what is the role of your as a conservation organization?
So we will take more questions later from the
I'll
same
talk to you
person. This column, can we take one question? Yeah, the man in maroon.
Hello. Sir, my name is Roshan Khamari and I'm founder of Jungle Tak, environmental news channel. एंड मैं बीएससी और एमएससी फॉरेस्ट्री वाइल्ड लाइफ का स्टूडेंट भी हूँ. मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि सर मैं कलाहंडी से बिलोंग करता हूँ, जहाँ आप गए थे करके भी बोल रहे हैं. तो एलिफेंट का पॉपुलेशन उड़ीसा में देखे तो 2017 सेंसस के हिसाब से 1947 था. अभी 2024 में सर 122 इंक्रीज हो भी गया है. लेकिन एक प्रॉब्लम ये है कि सर उड़ीसा में टोटल 14 कॉरिडोर भी है, और 14 कॉरिडोर में देखा जाए तो कहीं ना कहीं से माइनिंग, इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन, अब जैसे बात कर रहे थे, तो कहीं ना कहीं 14 कॉरिडोर में देखे तो माइनिंग एक्टिविटीज़ कहीं ना कहीं हो ही रहा है. तो अभी जैसे ये एनजीओ सर, यहाँ पे बहुत सारे एक्टिविस्ट जैसे कि हम लोग क्लाइमेट वॉरियर आए हैं, कहीं ना कहीं एक इंडस्ट्री के ऊपर हम लोग प्रोटेस्ट भी कर रहे हैं कि यहाँ पे माइनिंग ना किया जाए. मतलब एक पार्ट प्रोटेस्ट कर रहा है उसको बचाने के लिए, और एक पार्ट उसके CSR.
I understood basically what you are trying to say. Okay, let me try and answer that question. You see, out of the 14 so-called corridors, I think only some of the corridors are viable corridors. Other corridors are not viable corridors. The second point I would like to make is there are only, in my opinion, there are only two landscapes which Odisha should focus its attention for long-term conservation of the elephant. The first is the Simlipal landscape, 7,000 square kilometers. The second landscape is Mahanadi and Sambalpur, and there is a connection between the two. That is a landscape where they should focus upon. The third point I would like to tell you is that I also spoke about restoration of the mining areas. Because in many of the areas, the restoration of the mining areas is not happening satisfactorily in Odisha. That restoration is very, very important. But the last point I would like to tell you is that the large-scale movement of elephants out of Odisha is a very serious challenge. We don't fully understand it. It's very difficult to be able to control it. So that's the short answer I'll give you. I'll talk to you outside about it. Okay?
All right, we'll take one last question, sir. Can we, the middle row? But just, we need students only. No
Hello,
seniors,
sir.
Just students, please. Just
Hello,
students.
Sir. I am Rajesh Rai. I am a lecturer in plant science.
Sir, you are not a student, I'm sorry.
Yes, I am also a student, sir.
Okay.
Actually, my question on elephant, sir. I read from sources that elephant help in growth of larger plants and also help to reduce greenhouse gases. Can you just tell me how,
Okay,
sir?
I'll tell you. It's again a very technical question. Elephants will feed on fruits. When they feed on fruits, the seed becomes, the germination becomes easier. And then the elephant is taking that seed and depositing it somewhere further away. So it helps in the regeneration. The second part about the climate change, there is a mixed scientific opinion on it. But what the elephant does is, the elephants feed on soft wood species with softer wood. And when the softer wood gets reduced, the hardwood species are able to grow. And therefore, more carbon is sequestered. Okay, so I'll talk to you again outside. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you again.
Thank you everyone. We will be able to take more questions after the panel discussion is over. Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Raman Sukumar sir, for your keynote address, and thank you for answering the questions from the audience, the young climate protectors as well. Now, ladies and gentlemen, time to get started with the panel discussion. I would invite the panelists to the dais first. May I first invite to join us as panelists, we have our Honorable CEO Dharitri and Odisha Post, Srimati Adyasha Satpathy. Let us have you, madam, on the stage. Srimati Adyasha Satpathy, with a round of applause. Ma'am, please. Now I would invite our next panelist, Ms. Hita Lakhani. Could we please welcome Ms. Hita Lakhani, our panelist, to the stage. On our expert panel, we have Ms. Hita Lakhani, a trailblazing climate activist, an environmental educator whose journey began with a deeply personal connection to Mumbai's greenery. She has represented youth voice on global platforms, including as global focal point for Youngo at the UNFCCC. She has also participated in COP21, COP22 and Climate Week NYC, among other high-profile global conferences. Hita's initiatives such as Climact and the Youth Negotiators Academy are shaping India's next generation of climate leaders. She is an alumna of the Women Climate Collective and was part of 16 women climate leaders who have worked dedicatedly towards empowering women in the climate and gender equity spaces. Please welcome Ms. Hita Lakhani as our panelist on the stage. A warm welcome. For our next panelist, let me invite Shri Punyaslok Bhaduri to the dais, please, with a round of applause. Joining our panel is Dr. Punyaslok Bhaduri, a distinguished professor of biological sciences at IISER, Kolkata, and a leader in climate and environmental research. He was the team leader of India's Arctic expedition in 2010 and also was one of the key panelists on climate resilience and coastal adaptation in COP26. Recipient of the prestigious Swarna Jayanti Fellowship Award in the area of Earth and Environmental Sciences conferred by Government of India, his expertise spans global and regional climate challenges. With over 80 publications and groundbreaking contributions to ecosystem restoration and biomonitoring technologies, Dr. Bhaduri's insights promise to enrich today's discussion. We welcome you, Dr. Punyaslok Bhaduri, as panelist. For our next panelist, let me introduce you all to Shri Divyakanta Nayak. May we please have your presence on the stage, Shri Nayak. We are lucky to have Shri Divyakanta Nayak on our panel, who is a seasoned disaster management expert with 12 years of impactful work. As a team lead for disaster management at Reliance Foundation, he coordinates relief programs, working with grassroots organizations, youth networks, and state agencies. He has responded to over 20 major disasters across 11 states, including Sikkim glacial lake outburst flood, Wayanad landslide, and Odisha train tragedy as well, with notable contributions during cyclones like Dana, Amphan, Fani, and Yas. Passionate about environmental resilience, Mr. Nayak leads community-driven mangrove conservation initiatives in Odisha, empowering locals to reduce disaster risks. He holds an MBA in Rural Management from Keet University. Please welcome Shri Divyakanta Nayak as our panelist. Welcome, sir. Now may I invite our honorable moderator for the panel discussion, Shri Arun Krishnamurthy sir, to the dais, please. Moderating this panel is Shri Arun Krishnamurthy, the dynamic founder of the Environmentalist Foundation of India, known for spearheading lake restoration efforts across the country, including Odisha. Shri Arun brings a wealth of experience in environmental advocacy and grassroots action. His impactful work has earned him numerous accolades, including British Council International Climate Champion Excellence Award, Rolex Awards for Enterprise for Lake Restoration Efforts, Jane Goodall Institute Global Youth Leadership Award, among others. Under his leadership, EFI has successfully restored about 200 water bodies, combining community involvement with innovative conservation techniques. With his deep commitment to environment, he will steer today's discussion. Please welcome Shri Arun Krishnamurthy as our moderator for the panel discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, please have your seats. And now I would like to hand it over to our moderator, Shri Arun Krishnamurthy. Sir, please take it forward.
Jai Jagannath, good afternoon. It's an absolute pleasure to be back at the Dharitri Youth Conclave. To every single young member who's part of it, to every single professor who feels he or she is a student, who still feels he's a youth to be part of this, thank you for coming. The Dharitri Youth Conclave is an important platform. If you're sitting in this hall, if you've heard Professor Sukumaran speak, and when you're going to listen to them speak, only request why we keep organizing this youth conclave is so that, not that we have a group picture with thousands of you and then we play a video. That's not the goal behind this youth conclave. Today in this country, there are political celebrations happening in different parts of the country by different outfits for an election they've won. There is cricket-related dialogue, discussion that's happening in different parts of the country as we speak. It's a good Sunday where there's a biryani meal with family get-together. All of that is also happening. Maybe in the whole of this country, students, academicians, many of us under one roof, talking about elephant, mangroves, rivers, lakes, ponds, maybe this is the only platform. Yes? So that is why, don't clap. Yes? Don't clap, because we are not here to keep thumping our chest. We have a huge responsibility. We are not here for a family biryani meal, which is not wrong. We are not here talking cricket. We are not here talking politics. We are not here talking movies. And when we are here talking environment conservation, it can't stop at that. It has to move to action. The discussions that you're going to have with Professor Sukumaran, or these wonderful individuals whom I'm going to be quizzing over the next 35-40 minutes, during lunch and after lunch and through your session. Yesterday, what a day it was when many of you from across Odisha spoke about the work that you did. The bell kept ringing. We could have listened to you the entire day. Such phenomenal stories of grassroots work that you've all been doing. Yes? Today, the Youth Conclave's focus is how do we all come together towards tomorrow, do some realistic work. That is how this conversation is also going to be steered, right? At any point, the person sitting next to you is going onto their mobile phone or is talking, turn to them and focus on the panel. Because this panel is, again, let me remind you, is not going to talk movies, is not going to talk politics, it's going to talk nature conservation, and it's going to look for collaboration with every single one of you on what we can do together for Odisha's environment. I'm truly happy that you all chose to be part of this panel. The way the panel is going to run is we're going to give you all 2 minutes for your opening remarks, and then we go ahead with questions. There are microphones we've kept right next to each of your pedestals. So we start with you, we start from there and come forward, and then we start with questions from here. Why Dharitri Youth Conclave? You as an individual, being in journalism, why are you focused on environment? What do you want out of this Youth Conclave? Your opening remarks, please set the tone for what people should look forward to in listening to you.
Thank you, Arun Babu. I'm honored to be in this panel. I wanted to have you all experts speak and be sitting there and listen, but everyone from Dharitri, they were like, no, you have to be part of the panel. So that's the honest truth. Yes, we have been doing this for a while now, because environment has been environmental consciousness, creating environmental consciousness has been part of Dharitri's culture. Dharitri actually does mean dharti, or Mother Earth. In Odia, Dharitri kahile mati ma को बुझिबाको पड़िबो. सो आमे सबु बेले भाबी आसीचु एनवायरनमेंट विषय रे. एडिटर सरंकर भी बहुत एथरे थॉट अछि. And the youth conclave was definitely started in 2021 to get together environmentalists, to identify, bring together environmentalists, grassroots environmentalists, but also create a platform where students who are not initiated into climate action, where students who have not thought about climate change, they meet inspiring grassroots environmentalists, and there is a little bit of not really knowledge exchange, but some inspiration exchange. We have had questions that, why don't you have just environmentalists? Why would you involve students? Or why don't you have just students and, exclude grassroots environmentalists? Now, the point is grassroots environmentalists already are doing enough. They're doing what they can do. But students, the youth, they are the future. Now, a lot of them might not be initiated into climate action, thinking about climate change, but it's important. And when we have situations like this, Dharitri Youth Conclave, it brings students and gets them to meet environmentalists, both experts and grassroots. I think a little seed of thought that is planted in their heads, and then they go back, and even if there's some action that starts, that itself is a win. Thank you.
Ms. Hita, if you could set the tone for what can we expect from you, part of this youth conclave. Why are you here? What excites you?
Thank you so much for having me, and it is an absolute honor and a delight to be here with so many young people, so many people who are excited to do something about nature, about conservation and climate change. I think what excites me is, one, the interactions. I'm really looking forward to meeting all of you, having as many conversations as we can through the rest of the day. But I mean, I've just come back from, as Dr. Aman was saying, come back from COP29, which is concluded earlier this morning in Baku. And I came back, to be honest, very disappointed with the progress made, or not made in this case, but very disappointed. And I think some of the things that I look forward to is just really seeing how can we build this grassroots action bottom up, right? There are so many of you who are doing so many different things, who have the passion. And I think as young people, all of you and, all of us together really need to come together. We need to pull each other up, but at the same time, we really need to ensure that we are bringing the voices of those who are not able to be in the rooms today. For those of you who are very fortunate to be here today, but also those of us who are not here today, how do we ensure that their voices are represented? Every time when we work for the environment, how do we ensure that it is a social as well as an environmental movement? And I think this is one of the big things that sort of sits with me, and I think the rest of it is just to draw inspiration, to learn from so many wonderful speakers and panelists here, and to have a wonderful time ahead.
We're equally excited. Professor Baduri, from a lot of expedition academics, what is it that we expect out of you? Is it stories? Is it a lot of startling facts? What excites you to be a part of this? And what should we expect from you today?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And it's great to be among the youth, the young minds who are going to transform the big challenges that we face. I think what we are looking at is a global problem. Climate change impacts are global. Odisha is also not left out from that. But we have to look for local solutions to the global problem. And these local solutions can be taken along local scale and regional scale. We must be, we must be really clear that to find solutions to this problem, three things are very, very important. One is the solutions should be cheap. the solution should be cost effective, and the solution should be sustainable. When all these three thematics join together, then we will be able to tackle some of the long-term impacts of climate change. And that's where I think the translation of the academic knowledge to bring it to the youth, and so that they can make these changes at the grassroots level along with the indigenous and local communities to transform. Last but not the least, what I think is very, very important to keep in mind is the solutions that needs to be implemented, and Dharitri Youth Conclave provides this opportunity. This transformation process is going to take time. You're going to see the outcome of it 10 to 20 years from now, you know. So therefore, we have to be very systematic, and we have to make sure these seeds of transformations are being laid, and we continuously push this so that the changes and the adaptation to these changes in terms of climate, you know, can be, transferred across the communities, so that we really can tackle the big problems that we have at the moment. Yeah.
Perfect. Mr. Naik, many disasters, and you are actually one of those superheroes who's supporting people through disasters. And even when we had our conversation, he wanted to speak largely about how can many of us be in the forefront. So he's an action-oriented man. What do we expect out of you today, and what is your expectation out of these young people here today?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. Thank you for providing this opportunity. Actually, ମୁଁ ଧରିତ୍ରୀ ୟୁଥ୍ କନକ୍ଲେଭ୍ ସହିତ ଯୋଡ଼ି ହେଇକି ନିଜକୁ ଗର୍ବ ଏବଂ ଗୌରବ ଆନିତ ମନେ କରୁଛି। ବେସିକାଲି ଯେହେତୁ ଆମର ଓଡ଼ିଶା ଗୋଟେ ବିପର୍ଯ୍ୟୟ ପ୍ରବଣ ରାଜ୍ୟ, ଆମର ଓଡ଼ିଶାରେ 381ଟି ସୁନାମି ପ୍ରୋନ୍ ଭିଲେଜ୍ ଅଛି, ପାଖାପାଖି 11ଟା ମେଜର ରିଭର ସିଷ୍ଟମ୍ ଅଛି ଏବଂ 480 କିଲୋମିଟର କୋଷ୍ଟଲାଇନ୍ ଅଛି। ଆଉ ଆମେ ଡିଜାଷ୍ଟର ପ୍ରୋନ୍ ଏରିଆରେ ଆମେ ସମସ୍ତେ ବସବାସ କରୁଛନ୍ତି। ତ ଯେହେତୁ ଆମର always youth volunteer, local communities, fast responder in any kind of disaster. So I am hoping that we'll connect with more youth and like-minded people here, and we'll strengthen our grassroots partnership with all the youth volunteers to strengthen our ecosystem, and will enhance the preparedness of the community and mitigate the disaster risk in our Odisha. Thank you.
Perfect. That's rule. Until we finish the panel, you don't clap. Yeah. So we're also going to make another thing a little bit interesting. It's a nice, cozy.
Arun Babu is the principal.
No. A lot of youth, and it's our responsibility, isn't it? And every year we do this, and we look forward to getting more of them on our side. Now, the panelists have to ensure that their answers are interesting, that they don't put you to sleep. And you have to ensure that you're giving them the vibration that they're going to motivate us in return. And that's how we're going to make this youth conclave a grand success. You have to speak to us about Wayanad, what you saw at Wayanad, and why it bothers, and what kind of preparedness in the youth should be there. The reason I'm talking about Wayanad, we were also there, we saw what happened. And maybe Odisha just saw it in news through Dharitri and other platforms. What did you see there, and what worries you in the era of climate change, such disasters, and are we even aware of such things, and how prepared are we? What should we do?
Wayanad, Kerala रे जो लैंडस्लाइड ହେଇଥିଲା ଏ ବର୍ଷ, Wayanad Kerala रे लैंडस्लाइड हबार जस्ट गोटे दिन भितरे आमे Wayanad रे पहुंचथिलु। सेठी जो आपनकर मेपाड़ी एरिया, मुंडकाई, मेपाड़ी, चोरलमाला एरिया रे आमे देखिलु कि बहुत सारा लोकंकर घर ऑलरेडी वाश आउट हो जाइछि। इवन लोक माने टेम्पररी शेल्टर जो गवर्नमेंट रे जो टेम्पररी शेल्टर डिस्ट्रिक्ट डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट अथॉरिटी दैट Wayanad, they have already settled in the temporary shelter. And what we have seen actually कि जो केरला में जो local youths वगैरह है, they have actually done a tremendous job in collecting the relief material, in assisting the materials to the needy families, even distributing the materials to the in inclusive way. Even वहाँ पे basically आपका जो old days का लोग थे, even वहाँ पे आपका जो प्रेग्नेंट वीमेन थे, उनको जाकर की रिलीफ मटेरियल इमीडिएटली पहुंचाने में वो लोग मदद किया था. एंड व्हाट वी हैव डन देयर, इवन वी हैव ऑलरेडी कोऑर्डिनेटेड विद डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन. सो बेसिकली वी हैव नॉट डन एनी ओवरलैपिंग वर्क्स. because many of the organization in disaster time, they do the lot of overlapping work. So what we have done basically, we have already discussed with the interagency group, IAG जो है, and वहाँ पे जो district administration है, we have asked that what kind of basically how we can contributed into this process. So they told that कि अभी जो camps वगैरह है वहाँ पे आप visit कीजिए और वहाँ पे हमारा daily basically nutrition जो milk से है कि even fruits वगैरह है उसका requirement है. So then what we have done basically, we have engaged and we have taken support from the grassroots organization, even some of the local volunteer basically. So we have for 17 days basically regularly we have visited 17 relief camps, and daily basis we have provided this milk and fruits for meeting their daily needs. And apart from that, even whenever the district administration basically kept them some 20 days kind of period in Wayanad. After that, basically their homes has been washed away, and district administration, they have planned to basically put them in some rental house for 6 months or 1 year period of time till they will fix them they will put them they will settle them in a permanent shelter. So in that period basically district administration and local youth, and even we have found out that कि जो भी वहाँ पे sanitation and hygiene का जो material का requirement वगैरह था वहाँ पे, even shelter material का requirement था, bedding kit का requirement था. So what we have done basically कि हम लोग 700 families थे वहाँ पे basically जिनका एक कुछ families था जिनका पूरा कोई भी नहीं थे, and कुछ लोग थे पूरा उनका एक सिंगल चाइल्ड था. ठीक है, कहाँ पे आपका इवन बहुत सारे लोग ट्रोमा में थे बेसिकली, दे डोंट एबल टू एक्सप्रेस कि उनको क्या सपोर्ट चाहिए एंड कैसे, वो पूरा साइकोलॉजिकली पूरा डिप्रेस थे. सो क्या क्या है, हम लोग लोकल जो यूथ वॉलेंटियर्स वगैरह है उनको हम लोग जो मीनागाड़ी एक स्कूल है वहाँ पे हम लोग डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन से डिस्कशन किया. मीनागाड़ी जो स्कूल से एनएसएस का जो वॉलेंटियर अराउंड 45 वॉलेंटियर, so they have supported and they have joined in this campaign, so that we have packed all the materials and we have able to distribute to these kids to 720 families. And after that also right now we are organizing this psychosocial program for the affected communities, and the youth basically playing a vital role in preparing the community and assisting the community, and even livelihood recovery time. Maybe the youth are playing a vital role basically to support the community from the impact of disaster.
So to summarize, a climate calamity as a disaster it strikes, there can't be a one hero, one heroine act. All of us have to work together. We have to work with the administration. And third, short-term to long-term hand-holding should be there. Have I summarized what you said? Yes? Thank you for all the good work that you did in Wayanad and in many other places. Professor, the one common blame often that goes towards academics is there's a lot of theory, right? And practical implementation takes a back seat. Have you ever felt that with so many publications, with such extensive research and explorations to your name, have you ever felt at one point what is happening? Why is there so much text and what's happening on ground? And if the youth feels such that, what is your lessons of hope for them?
That's a very good question. I would put it in this way, that tide is turning around. साइंटिस्ट लोग लैब में बैठ के कुछ मॉडल बनाते हैं, कुछ एक्सपेरिमेंट्स करते हैं, लेकिन ग्राउंड रियलिटीज़ में, जैसे प्रोफेसर सुकुमार रामन सेड कि वो ग्राउंड में काम करते हैं, तो ग्राउंड में जब आप काम करते हैं तो तब पता चलता है कि रियलिटी क्या है और लैब में बैठ के जो कर रहे हैं उस दोनों में डिस्कनेक्ट है. मेरा करीब 20-25 साल से इसी फील्ड में काम कर रहा हूँ. मुझे ये लगा है कि करीब लास्ट 10 साल से तो हम लोग पूरा फील्ड में ही काम कर रहे हैं. दो एग्जाम्पल मैं आपको देना चाहता हूँ, क्योंकि वहाँ पे यूथ का इन्वॉल्वमेंट बहुत ज़्यादा रह गया है. एक चीज़ तो है कि उड़ीसा का ही एग्जाम्पल मुझे देना है, क्योंकि ये रिसेंट जो साइक्लोन उड़ीसा में पास हुआ, साइक्लोन ताना करके, आप स्टेट डिजास्टर रिस्पॉन्स फोर्स देखिए, नेशनल डिजास्टर रिस्पॉन्स फोर्स देखिए, सब लोग तैयार होकर था, लेकिन वो इफेक्ट ऑफ द साइक्लोन कुछ ज़्यादा उतना खास नहीं था. मैनग्रोव्स वहाँ पे बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले किया. सो मैनग्रोव रेस्टोरेशन जो होता है, ये साइंटिफिक रेस्टोरेशन हुआ, इसीलिए उसका इफेक्ट भी बहुत कम हुआ है. जो नेचुरल मैनग्रोव्स था, जो रेस्टोर्ड मैनग्रोव्स था, ये सब मिला के पूरा रेस्टोरेशन, पूरा शील्ड, नेचुरल शील्ड बना और साइक्लोन का इफेक्ट को रोक दिया. सो दिस इज वन एग्जाम्पल where the communities, the knowledge of the science all came together and the translation process began. And I come back to that point, this process did not happen just one day, it was happening for the last 10 years. So you're seeing the impact of this. द सेकेंड थिंग, दूसरा वाला चीज़ जो मैं कहना चाहता हूँ कि करीब ये अरुणाचल प्रदेश में आज से करीब 2-3 साल पहले एक अर्थक्वेक हुआ था, करीब 4 स्ट्रेंथ की अर्थक्वेक था, सेस्मिक स्ट्रेंथ। उससे क्या हुआ, एक मॉडरेट ग्लो इवेंट हुआ था, किसी न्यूज़पेपर में नहीं आया, और एक रिवर है वहाँ पे अरुणाचल में, कामेंग करके एक रिवर था। तो जब मैंने पहले वो देखा कि एक ट्वीट में आया, वहाँ का डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर ने उसने ट्वीट डाला, उसने लिखा कि अगर कोई एकेडमिशियन या कोई भी है जो आके हमको हेल्प कर सके, आप तुरंत आ जाइए, लोकल जो करना है हम लोग करेंगे। तो मैंने उनको तुरंत मैसेज भेजा, उन्होंने, बहुत ही डायनामिक डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर है, उन्होंने फ़ोन किया, और जिस दिन ये इंसिडेंट हुआ उससे 2 दिन बाद हम उस जगह में पहुंच गए, और हम लोगों ने जो किया, जो साइंटिफिक नॉलेज था उसका ग्राउंड ट्रांसलेशन करने का कोशिश किया। 2 चीज़ हम लोगों ने वहाँ से जो लर्निंग हुआ, सीख के आया, और वहाँ पे कम्युनिटीज और यूथ का बहुत इंपॉर्टेंस था। 2 चीज़ उससे क्लियर हुआ। एक कि वहाँ पे एक स्टोरी निकल रहा था उस टाइम में कि चाइना ने कुछ किया होगा जिसका इफेक्ट ये कामेंग रिवर का कलर ब्लैक हो गया था, बहुत सारे मछली का मौत हो गया था, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा। हम लोगों ने साइंटिफिक और कम्युनिटी मिल के, मैं खुद और मेरा टीम खुद 40 दिन एक्सपीडिशन किया। वो मोस्ट इनहॉस्पिटेबल इको एनवायरनमेंट में हम लोगों ने वॉक करके, जहाँ पे ग्लो आर्ट इवेंट हुआ था, वहाँ पे सेंसर बैठा के हम लोगों ने जो डेटा कलेक्ट किया, फिर हम लोगों ने उसको ट्रांसलेट किया। डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, स्टेट डिजास्टर रिस्पॉन्स फोर्स को ये बताया कि चाइना वाला बात कुछ नहीं है, यहाँ पे ये एक अर्थक्वेक हुआ है लेकिन इम्पैक्ट बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया है। इम्पैक्ट ये हुआ कि वहाँ का लोकल कम्युनिटीज मछली बहुत खाते हैं, उस रिवर से पूरा मछली सब चला गया, 2-3 मिलियन मछली का डेथ हो गया। तो स्टेट ये कहना चाहता था कि आप बताइए कि कैसे मछली को वापस लेके आए। तो हम लोगों ने बताया कि वापस लेने का प्रोसेस टाइम लगेगा, और अभी 3 साल हो गया है, अभी ये थोड़ा थोड़ा हम लोग इंटरवेंशन करते करते थोड़ा थोड़ा मछली वापस आ रहा है। पूरा ये जो मूवमेंट हो रहा है ना, ये हम तो कितना बार जा सकते हैं अरुणाचल पे, लेकिन वहाँ का यूथ और वहाँ का लोकल कम्युनिटीज हाथ मिला के हम लोगों का साथ, हम लोग फ़ोन में बात करते हैं, गूगल मीट जो भी होता है, जब जाते हैं करके ये प्रोसेस को ट्रांसलेट किया। तो ये एक एग्जाम्पल है जहाँ पे नेक्सस बिटवीन साइंस, सोसाइटी, I would say journalists and policymakers all came together to understand the problem and to find ways to solve the problem. So these are 1 or 2 examples, क्योंकि time बहुत short है, मैं देना चाहता हूँ। और last but not the least मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ, I'm taking too much time. Odisha is a blessed state. It has got seagrass habitat. यहाँ पे आपको मैंग्रोव भी मिलेगा, आपको सॉल्ट मार्श भी मिलेगा। इन तीनों का आप जो पोटेंशियल देखेंगे ना क्लाइमेट मिटिगेशन के लिए, ये इट कैन डू वंडर्स। यहाँ पे साइंस, कम्युनिटीज, यूथ सबको मिलके बहुत कुछ करना है, और बहुत कुछ करना अभी बाकी है। थैंक यू।
That's general consensus. Odisha is a silent provider in many, many ways. Yes? Hita, youth in conservation. How many people from your school, your college, your friend circle are with you in this journey? And what do you think is a psychological block in getting many more young people to be part of a movement? Why only you? And why are the rest of the greater population alongside you? Have you ever thought about it? What are your thoughts on that?
Thank you for that question. I think thinking back from school, right? I think from school is probably the only person I can think of is probably... Yeah, from school I think there's not too many people who've been being part of the environment conservation field currently. But I mean, of course, as you specialize and as I studied further, there are of course many more people who are from the same class who are doing multiple different things when it comes to different sides of environment, conservation, climate, policy making, whatever that might look like. The first time, I mean, a little bit of a backstory, I did my master's in environmental studies. And the first time I went and I actually did something in environment. So after I finished my master's, I studied German. I worked as a German translator actually with TCS. That was my very first job. I did nothing with my master's initially. And this was in 2015 when in Paris, the climate conference, or COP21 was going to happen. It was in the media everywhere. Everyone was talking about it. And Prime Minister Modi, it was his first time going to an international conference of that size and scale, and it was everywhere. So that's when I took a few days off from work. I was volunteering somewhere, so I asked people how I can go there. Now, of course, I laugh at my journey. But the long story short is that that was my first into the official international climate space. When I came back home, I said, "Theek hai, this job that I'm doing is nice. It's comfortable. I work 5 days a week. I have no work stress. But there was something within me. I wanted to be in the environment field ever since I was 10 or 12 or something like this. The first time I learned the word environmentalist, when somebody asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said environmentalist. And of course, my job was nothing to do with that. So a few months down the line, I quit. I said, I want to do something. So I started volunteering. I did a bunch of different things. And that basically was a long learning curve. But the more I worked internationally with young people, the more I learned about what other youth from across the world were doing, the more I learned about different cultures, different ways of working. The first thought that always came back to me was, why do I not see more young Indians doing what people are doing outside? Why do I not see more young Indians at the UN? Why do I not see more people actually talking about this? Because in India, we're seeing the realities, we're living the realities of climate change every single day. So that's how, for me, in late 2017, it got into climate education. And that's a long detour to your question, which basically says that, why not more young people? And I think, of course, from 2015 or 2017, when I was getting started until 2024 today, so many more youth are involved. We have a room full of young people here. So, of course, there are more and more youth getting involved. But still, this is a minority amongst such a large young population in now what is the world's most populous country. And one of the main things is we look at environment as something to do on the side, as a hobby, as something you do on your weekend, as something which is nice to do but not your main focus. Because we've always been ingrained ki nahi padhai pe dhyan do. Academics, we need to get marks, you need to get a career, you need to be either a doctor or an engineer or an accountant. There are very few fields outside of this that people actually dream of or doing something. A lawyer and an architect is the outside of this, but outside of that, like out of these 5 things, there's very few different options that you will think of or that people will encourage you to do. So the moment you want to do something outside of these 5, people are like, इसमें कहाँ से आपका future होगा? यहाँ पे पैसे नहीं बनेंगे. पहले settle हो जाओ, फिर जो करना है करो. People have told me that. When I told people that I was quitting my job at TCS and I was going to volunteer for a while, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, right from my managers to families to friends to everybody have said, यार ये hobby है, weekend पे कर लो ना. मतलब, why do you have to drop everything? You have a good life, you have a good salary, you have a good job. Why do you need to leave all of this to do this, stupid thing? Weekend पे कर लो, जो करना है करते रहो. Who's stopping you? And I think that is the first thing, to question and say, why does the environment have to be a weekend activity when you're eating every day, you're breathing every day, you're drinking water every day, you're using resources every single day? Why do I have to think about this 2 days a week and the rest 5 days a week I go about as if none of this matters to me? So I think if we start thinking and we start challenging social norms, start thinking, why does my passion not have to be the center of my focus? And whether your passion is environment, whether your passion is conservation, whether your passion is singing, whether your passion is something altogether, right? Start questioning, saying, why does this not have to be the center of my focus? Is there a reason? Is it a genuine reason? Or is there a societal norm which has told us, no, this is how life has to be? As a young woman, I need to be able to do X, Y, Z, get married at a certain age, have children at a certain age, and then think about all my other passions. Why? Can I not do something else with my life? And I think the moment you start thinking, the moment you start questioning, not to say it's an easy journey, but I think there are people along the way and there's lots of inspiration. I have had wonderful mentors who have been able to guide me, been able to support me, and of course family that's been able to let me do what I do. And I think you find your way, you carve your path. And don't let anyone tell you you're too young. You're never too young to start something. You're never too young to do something. You're never too young to not be an expert on a particular topic. So don't let someone tell you, 10 साल बाद ना थोड़ा सा पढ़ाई करके इस पे काम करना. Start working as you're studying. Start studying as you're working, whatever that order might be, and continue doing what you want to do.
That's actually what we witnessed yesterday, don't you think? Where so many people took to stage when they were speaking. The youth, I'm sure many of you are here, the inspiring stories from nook and corner of Odisha. And when the climate grant opens every year, many people apply, but even if not all of them win, the fact that they're all here with us today is giving us hope. So now, my question to you is as simple as this. An editorial, when thoughts go into how do you give space for environment, make it entertaining, make it make it eyeball catching, and is it catching up on? Because it is quite depressing to keep noting that, like, this elephant is dead, or seashores getting wiped out, sea turtles are under threat. How do you excitingly present environmental news, giving hope, and what goes in your head? What kind of thought goes in your... This youth conclave is one such an initiative. I can speak for it. But beyond that, how are you trying to still keep them motivated, not get them depressed?
Thank you. Yesterday we were all together with environmentalists of Odisha from various regions doing their bit, and I would think one of the reasons that we have stayed connected, that they keep coming, sharing ideas, and we keep meeting, is because in a little bit of way, the Youth Conclave annually and otherwise our meetings regularly do keep in mind that there is a youth factor, that there should always be an exciting little bit which we will be waiting for, the musical performance. The young kids are all waiting. Yesterday we also had a fantastic musical performance talking about climate change, but through music. So I guess it's important for young people to come to a place where it's not just boring, because then they would relate climate talk to something which is not exciting. And if there is some level of excitement, Josh, as we say, that acha, let's do this with a spirit of positivity, with a spirit of hope, not only negativity, then I think there is more inspiration to move forward. Sometimes there is a little bit of understanding or misunderstanding that we have, that conclaves like this or climate action only has to be super serious, that we have to give gyan, and young people have to make their promises. That will all happen once there is inspiration, once there is a little bit of the Josh, which I see, which I will take one more minute to finish this. When we first started with the climate grant, and before that, even the conclave and the involvement of youngsters long back, we used to get response from educational institutions that no, sorry, we cannot, send students who have interest in climate change. We will send from the debate club, and we will send from the, let's say, quizzing club, or we will send from various drama club. That is the reason why they said we don't have eco clubs, and this is long back. It has changed. A lot has changed now. But that is because there was no interest. Now, when the letters are sent out, okay, Youth Conclave is happening, then it's, I don't know how many clubs, how many kids come in, and the young climate warriors. We always are very, very grateful, because it's not just about our invitation. We always have response from young people and grassroots environmentalists to stay connected both ways. So I think it is important to keep it slightly positive, even through the newspaper, have positive stories of change, give positive stories of young people who have done something, so that, people don't think, okay, all hope is lost, so if it's all going dark, then what do? I have nothing to do, let's just give up. So that should not happen.
Positive. She's just saying lunch is cancelled. We're going to do this panel for the next 2 hours, yes? So now, because you started on that note, I'm going to give you all a responsibility of somehow motivating this crowd. I can speak for this crowd also. For those who were not there with us yesterday, lot of inspiring stories, just that they're not on stage. Yes? Any one exciting environmental story that happened in your life in the last 1 year? As CEO of an editorial, a youth wrote to you, or you read about some story in Odisha, which gives you hope, or what has happened in the Youth Conclave so far in all these editions? That somebody walked up, somebody did something, or somebody started something, and because of the Youth Conclave it went up. You have 120 seconds to motivate us so that we all take back some hope.
So through the Youth Conclave, and because of it, we are exposed to a lot many stories. And it would be unfair for me to name one, but a single person cleaning plastic on a beach every single day, while people say that this is the job of, a sweeper or a cleaner, and being looked down upon, but not being defeated and doing it every single day. Stories of environmentalists who go down deep into the mud, sometimes being called, okay, these are the people who are mud walkers, but they continue. There is a little bit of stigma when it's grassroots work, when it's all in conclaves like this, when it comes to awareness building, the stigma doesn't exist. But when it comes to grassroots, there is a little bit of stigma because ye aisa ganda kaam kar rahe hain, they're doing the very dirty work. So I guess we are inspired, not just through the Youth Conclave and meeting people on a regular basis through stories in Dharitri. When people move over from the stigma, they just don't care. They carry on what they think is right, what they want to do, what inspires them, and it doesn't matter if people think that work is not worth
What
it.
if we see a quick show of hands? How many of them here clean beaches almost every day? Who's gone for a beach cleanup in the last 1 month? Raise your hand if you've
There's
been
so
to.
many people
Raise
here,
your hand if you've cleaned a beach
vloggers.
in Odisha. How many of you have planted a mangrove sapling or any sapling in the last 1 month? Yeah? How many of you have actually put a Twitter status saying that I care about environment, I love environment? And brilliant. There's so many of them. Brilliant. Hita, any one youth story? I know many people have tried stopping you from doing what you want to do, or you meet so many people, especially when you go to these conference of parties, a lot of talk and everything. But sudden flash, somebody who was inspiring, motivating, that everybody here should know about. 120 seconds.
Yeah, I think one story is hard, but I think one, and I'll give an international example again. This is a story of how young people across have come together. Again, at the UN, there is very technical, but without getting into the details, there is something known as a body of the CTCN, which is the Center for Technology Network, and now I forgot the full form. Anyway, it's basically the focus on the UNFCCC and the UN climate change process that focuses on technology. And they have an advisory board. And this advisory board comprises of a bunch of different entities, a bunch of different types of society, but somehow youth were never part of this advisory board ever since this board was created. And we'd been asking for a long time that young people need to have a seat when it comes to technology, when it comes to matters relating to how technology is going to affect and how it is going to be a part of the climate solution. And for a very long time, this conversation was going back and forth, back and forth. And this was in 2021, so about 3 years ago, when I was global focal point of Youngo. So this was basically the youth constituency. It's a mechanism of engagement of young people in the UN. Again, big words not to think about it, but this is basically that one way of how youth in the UN in this climate process can be engaged. And after multiple years of back and forth of negotiation, of asking for whether you can have a space, countries blocking, saying, why do we need young people here? We have so many different types of society. It can automatically be a part of this. We don't need a separate seat. Finally, by the end of this meeting in 2021, was when there was a lot of pushback, a lot of support as well. And it was in 2021 when finally this advisory board opened up and said, okay, now we'll have a seat for young people. So it's been 3 years now that you have an official seat in the advisory board at the UN level. And this has only come because not just young people, of course, along the world, like youth have united, but at the same time, a lot of other champions, right from scientists, right from indigenous people, right from women's groups to gender activists to every other part of society has come together and said, you cannot leave one section of society out. And I think this is it's a very technical story to say that if at that level, if youth can have an advisory board position, we are capable of something for sure. And we can definitely start no matter where we are to do what we're doing and to be able to fill the gap right from the local to the international.
Perfect. From Arunachal to Arctic, any one nice animal story, weather impact story, or some very difficult times that you work through, something phenomenal which would motivate us to come your path?
I think I'll give the example from Odisha only, rather than going to Arctic. I think Odias feel extremely proud about the olive ridley turtles, Adibada. And every Odia knows that Devi River estuary mouth used to be a big congregation, or Adibadas used to happen. 15 years ago almost, this Adibada has moved away. So last 15 years, we have been working with the youths and trying to understand the scientific basis of why Adibadas have moved away from Devi River mouth to Rishikulya, and also decline in Gahirmatha. And we could do all this work collectively with the youths because the great passion, the care they have about these ecosystems and about the charismatic fauna, the olive ridley, which the state associates itself with. And one thing has become clear that, the fish, the uncontrolled fishing, the pollution, and of course there's the geodynamics issues that there, geomorphology issues are there, which have created to this. That's one part. Second thing is, Adyasha Madam did not take the name, but I will take the liberty to name, because I think it's important to inspire all our youths here. All of them are doing amazing work, phenomenal work. Yes. But I'll take two examples just to represent the youth that we have here. One is Shaumo is here. Yes. Shaumo, I know Shaumo over Twitter. We have been exchanging ideas, and he has been implemented to science-based intervention in mangrove restoration sites. And the second person is Upasana. I think she's also here, Upasana, if you're here. Upasana is working with the horseshoe crabs, a species that came before the dinosaurs, found in Odisha, okay? And they are there because the mangroves are there. So these are classic example where youth-led intervention, conservation, and developing ways to tackle climate change are bringing in huge changes, maybe small, but it has huge impact on a large scale. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you for taking those names, because there's so many others here who we really can't take all your names, but we're truly motivated by you. Wherever you've been to, part of disaster work and everything, it's tough. There's not going to be regular meals. There's not going to be toilet. The weather's always changing. Demands are already increasing by the minute. How do you stay focused, and how are you such an inspiration with a larger team, and how are you a hope to all those people who are affected? And in that disaster area, when the disaster has struck, who has motivated you? Any stories of hope that we all can draw inspiration from?
I will give recent Dana cyclone response. Even Dana cyclone ka response, Dana cyclone ka jo forecasting aaya IMD se, even we have that youth volunteers in the field. Even local communities, youth volunteers, they are in the field. So what we have done basically, disseminate these advisories to the youth community. And they have started providing, like disseminating advisories like general, that safety and protection advisories to the community. And we have passed on to our youth groups. And basically these youth volunteers, they have acted a vital role basically to disseminate this information among the farmers, fishermen, livestock farmer. As you know that अगर दाना साइक्लोन का likely impact agriculture farmer का ऊपर क्या होगा, and उसको क्या basically early action लेना पड़ेगा to protect and safeguard the lives and livelihood. Similarly marine fishermen के लिए भी क्या actions वगैरह लेना पड़ेगा उसका livelihood को protect करने के लिए. तो similarly जो youth volunteer basically जो trained volunteer है village level पे, they have acted a vital role basically to prepare the community and support the community and ensure that people are taking early action to safeguard their lives and livelihood. Example का हिसाब से अगर मैं बताएगा अभी एक कोसिया विलेज है, सानकृष्णपुर, वासुदेवपुर, ब्लॉक भद्रक डिस्ट्रिक्ट. वहाँ पे जो एक 5-6 लड़के हैं जो यूथ वॉलेंटियर है, बोथ मेल एंड फीमेल वॉलेंटियर है, उनका पास जाके हम लोग सुबह पहुँच गया, 5:30 बजे पहुँच गया, क्योंकि डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑलरेडी allotted that this village have to be evacuation करना है उनको. तो वहाँ पे बेसिकली क्या है ना कि घेरी एरिया है, जो चिंगड़ी, जो अपना प्रॉन घेरीज वगैरह है, एंड वहाँ पे बेसिकली रोड भी नहीं है, जाने के लिए रोड नहीं है, जहाँ पे जो आपका बेसिकली जो वनरेबल हाउसेस वगैरह जहाँ पे है, वहाँ पे जाने के लिए रास्ता नहीं है. सो मेरे को बहुत अच्छा लगा कि हम लोग जब बात किया वॉलेंटियर का साथ, इवन जा नहीं सकते, बट वहाँ पे वो लोग रेडी है कि कीचड़ इतना इतना कीचड़ में जाकर कि सभी लोग का पास अर्ली वार्निंग देना दे करके फिर उनको पूरा 100% इनको इवाकुएट करके उनका साइक्लोन मल्टीपर्पज साइक्लोन शेल्टर में पहुंचाने तक दे हैव डन ए ग्रेट जॉब. इवन उसमें मैं एक छोटा चीज बताएगा. इवन 6 लाख पीपल हैज बीन इवाकुएटेड इन दाना साइक्लोन का टाइम में, जो गवर्नमेंट का जो रिपोर्ट्स वगैरह है. बट उसमें क्या हुआ कि इवन एक एक जो चीज है ना वो बहुत मायने रखता है. हम लोग सोशल सेक्टर में बताते नंबर बताते, बट एक एक नंबर का पीछे बहुत बड़ा स्टोरी रहता है. मैं एक सिंपल एग्जांपल देगा. एक 94 इयर्स का एक ओल्ड एज लोग है, उनका नाम है लक्ष्मण माइती. लक्ष्मण माइती का घर में मैं एंड हमारा जो यूथ वॉलेंटियर है 4 बार गया उनका घर का पास. बट क्या ना वो रेडी नहीं है, एंड उनका समुद्र का पास में पूरा घर है, बट वो रेडी नहीं है वहां से इवाकुएट हो, वहां से आकर की सेफ शेल्टर में पहुंचने के लिए. सो दिस यूथ वॉलेंटियर कंसिस्टेंटली रीच टू द होम फॉर 5 times. आफ्टर दैट सरपंच को भी लेके गए, पुलिस को भी लेके गए, फिर उनको कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्डिंग करके उनको फिर इवाकुएशन करके लाए. और ये जो एक नंबर जो है ना ऐसे ऐसे 6 लाख नंबर तक पहुंचा. एंड दूसरा चीज क्या है, हम लोग अपना जो यूथ को एंगेज करके मैनग्रोव प्लांटेशन मैनग्रोव कंजर्वेशन का ऊपर फोकस कर रहे हैं अपना डिजास्टर रिस्क का एक्सपोजर को रिड्यूस करने के लिए. एंड मेरा पास एक्चुअली कुछ भी आइडिया नहीं था मैनग्रोव का. मैनग्रोव क्या, उसका हाइपोकोटाइल क्या है, मैं सौम्य बाबू को 10 बार पूछा है कि हाइपोकोटाइल, मेरा हाइपोकोटाइल वो बोलते हैं मैं भूल जाता हूँ, फिर उनको दोबारा पूछता हूँ. एंड मैं एक्चुअली मेरा ये था कि हम लोग कैसे बेसिकली रिलायंस फाउंडेशन का जो इनिशिएटिव्स में हम लोग कैसे मैनग्रोव प्लांटेशन कंजर्वेशन का ऊपर ज़्यादातर सेंसिटाइज करेंगे, अवेयरनेस क्रिएट करेंगे, एंड कैसे उस एरियाज में हम लोग बायोसील जैसा क्रिएट करेंगे. सो थैंक्स टू सौम्य बाबू एंड दोल गोविंदो जी यूथ क्लब. इवन यहाँ पे ग्रीन हीरो जलेंद्र भाई है एंड बहुत सारे वॉलेंटियर मैंने अच्छे. आम सहित बेसिकाली ग्रासरूट आम कम करुचु. ग्रासरूट आम 3टा अप्रोच रे काम करूँ, जमी हाइपोकोटाइल प्लांटेशन करवा हो कि कम्युनिटी लेड मैनग्रोव नर्सरी एस्टाब्लिश करवा हो कि कम्युनिटी लेड इवन जो एक्सिस्टिंग जो मैनग्रोव अच्छी प्रोटेक्शन करवा हो. गोटे छोट जस्ट गोटे मिनिट टाइम नेबी. तो आम जो खरासापुर विलेज रे जो यूथ मैंने अच्छा भरत भाई अच्छा से बर्तमान नहाती. भरत भाई तांको कम्युनिटी बेसिकाली से 10,000 30,000 हाइपोकोटाइल लगेवा संगे संगे 10,000 पाखापाखि से माने नर्सरी तैयारी कले. आपन राई सिंधुका इवेन बंदरी एथरो तैयारी करी से 5,000 निज गाँव लगेवा संगे संगे 5,000 अलग गोटे गाँ से रेमुना ब्लॉक तालपोता तांको से डोनेट कले, सपोर्ट कले. सो दिस काइंड ऑफ बेसिकली यूथ हाउ दे आर प्लेइंग ए वाइटल रोल इन कंजर्विंग मैनग्रोव एंड प्रिपेयरिंग द कम्युनिटी. दैट इज ए ग्रेट एग्जांपल. एंड वी आर, मेरे को बहुत अच्छा लगता है जब यूथ थोड़ा सा काम करते हैं और मेरे को और ज़्यादा एनकरेजमेंट मिलता है कि खाना फाना भी हमको नहीं चाहिए भाई, हम लोग सपोर्ट करेंगे, कम्युनिटीज़ का पास रहेंगे. एंड उनका जो मोर्टालिटी जो होने वाला है, जीरो कैजुअलिटी जो गवर्नमेंट का जो मिशन है हमारा ओडिशा पायोनियर है डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट में, उसमें हम लोग कंट्रीब्यूट करेंगे. एंड डिजास्टर का जो सफरिंग होने वाला है लोग को, उससे हम लोग रिड्यूस करेंगे.
I'm just in awe. You can take a breath now. Yes, you spoke so fast. I really didn't want to stop him, but thanks to you and the larger band of youth who worked with you, and I'm sure the 94-year-old senior citizen would have stopped the cyclone. That's why he was very confident not to move. Yes, we have time for just 3 questions if you want. Don't congratulate them. Don't introduce yourselves. We don't want to know your history. Question. It should be a question. It can't be a statement. Yes? Your question cannot be more than 30 seconds. Only 3 questions. Quickly, please. Who are you addressing it and what your question is?
Question 1 for Professor Dr. Badri.
Yeah, please.
We have discussed about this. What are you doing on genomics for the Indian Ocean region? Now we have 480 kilometers. This thing is specific to Odisha issue. Another quick point.
Sir, I'm so sorry. I'll go to let him answer that first. Yes, if you're answering. And he's fully available through lunch for a conversation.
Thank you, sir, for that question. I think new technologies can find ways for innovative solutions. So genomics, which is essentially high throughput approaches, will show the rich repertoire of biodiversity, microbial biodiversity, the Odisha coastline has. And this biodiversity, microbial biodiversity can be harnessed very effectively to address issues of resilience and adaptation. And I very quickly end up saying is we must forget the idea of developed countries coming down with technologies and solutions for our problem. Our problem, we have to solve it ourselves. Odisha has the natural resources to solve it. We harness that using these technologies, transfer those knowledge to the communities and the youth so that they can implement at a ground level scale.
Thank you. One last question, yes, because we really don't have time.
So this question is for everyone. How can youth-led initiatives be empowered to drive climate action in their local communities, and what role should government play in supporting their initiatives?
थैंक यू नियाज सर सो सर देखो आम बर्तमान समस्ते जलवायु परिवर्तन प्रभाव को आम समस्ते अनुभव करुँच तो आम लोकल गाँव रे इवेन आमर जो यूथ माने अच्छी से माने आमर सचेतनतार आवश्यकता रही स्कूल लेवल रे सचेतनता हो विलेज लेवल रे सचेतनता हो कम्युनिटी लेवल रे सचेतनता हो जोठी कि यूथ माने लोकों को सचेतन करि परिबे कि आमे क्लाइमेट चेंज रो परिणाम आम ऊपर केमती आसूची इवेन आमे तार प्रकोप को ह्रास करबा पई कोन पदक्षेप नहीं परिबा आउ आमे इवेन जो क्लाइमेट चेंज द्वारा जो जो डिजास्टर गुड़ा इवेन आपन देखिबे गोटे जो आपनकर खाली ग्राउंड टू अर्थ गोटे पब्लिश होईची कि एई वर्ष जनवरी रु सेप्टेम्बर पर्यंत जो आपनकर 274 डेज रु पाखापाखि आमे 255 डेज एक्सट्रीम वेदर भितर आम अच्छा तो इवेन आम ओडिशार जदि देखिए भी पाखापाखि 112 जन लोकंर डेथ होती तो आम ये लोकों को आम वार्ता दे पारिबा कि केमती क्लाइमेट चेंज द्वारा आम मैंने प्रभावित होती आमे माने बेसिकली केमिति तृणमूल स्तर रे एक्शन्स नहीं पारिबा डायलॉग आमे नहीं पारिबा एक्शन्स नहीं पारिबा इवेन आमर जो साइंस एग्जिबिशन बगड़ा होची जो स्कूल लेवल वर्तमान बहुत देखिए तो सेठी भी आमे टीचर्स मानक कहि पारिबा यूथ माने कहि पारिबे कि आमे केमिति इवेन ता भीतर थीम्स नहीं पारिबा कि रोल ऑफ साइंस इन डिजास्टर मिटिगेशन और इवेन क्लाइमेट चेंज इवेन आपन देखंतु जो आमे सार बर्तमान कहते डॉक्टर सुकुमार सार कहते जो बायो वेस्ट कथा आमर घर इवेन देखो जो खाद्य गुड़ा अच्छी आम बाहर फिंगी दूसरी बहुत टाइम रे जोटा कि डिकम्पोज हो पारुनी ता द्वारा आमर आपनकर एमिशन गुड़ा अधिका हो तो आम जब यूथ मान को कहवा कि सेंसिटाइज भी करि परिबा कि सेमाने केमिति जेतिकी दरकार सेतिकी खाइबा बनेबा वेस्ट न करिबा इवेन आपनकर बायो जो आमर जो घर रे जो आपनकर गाईर जो भी गोबर हो कि इवेन आपनकर जो अदरकारी जिनिस हो आम तो बाहर फिंगी दउचंदी तो सेटा सब न फिंगिबा दरकार इवेन आमर जो बर्तमान देखंतु रासायनिक सार कीटनाशक अधिकार अधिका व्यवहार होछि तो आमे भी यूथ माने भी गाँव रे लोक मानक सेंसिटाइज करि परिबे कि केमती से माने बेसिकली रेजिलिएंट फूड प्रोडक्शन सिस्टम जेदु आमर खाद्य प्रोडक्शन आमर स्वावलंबी होइछे किंतु रेजिलिएंट फूड प्रोडक्शन सिस्टम ऊपर से माने केमती लोकों को अवेयरनेस क्रिएट करि परिबे फार्मर मानक अवेयरनेस क्रिएट करि परिबे इवेन लोक तांको एरिया रे धन्यतु साइक्लोन शेल्टर अछि साइक्लोन शेल्टर को कि फ्लड शेल्टर को आसीबा पई उडा अप्रोच रोड अछि इवाकुएशन रूट अछि मे बी से रूट टा बहुत टाइम रे खराब थिबो तो सेठी केमिति इवेन जो विलेज डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट जो कमिटी अच्छी कि साइक्लोन शेल्टर कमिटी अच्छी तांको सहित से केमती कथबार्ता करि परिबे से रूट को बनेबा कारण जदि रूट जदि ठीक ठाक न हो लोक माने आसिक टाइमली पहुंची परिबेनी तो सेबुडा भी तांकर सेठी कार काजुअलिटी होबार भी संभावना हेई पारे तो इवेन आपनकर जो गाँव रे जो आपनकर इरिगेशन चैनल गुड़ा अच्छी बहुत टाइम रे आपन देखंतु वर्तमान वाटर एज ए स्केर्स रिसोर्सेस तो बहुत टाइम रे आपनकर जदि जेहेतु इरिगेशन चैनलटा सफा न रोची ऊपर मुंडर केतेबेले आपनकर बन्या हो जाउची तळ मुंडर आपनकर चासी मानकर जमी रे पानी रोउनी आपन चाष करबा पई तो इवेन ताहा ऊपर से माने भी कंट्रीब्यूट करि परिबे इवेन ड्रेनेज चैनल ऊपर भी कंट्रीब्यूट करि परिबे कारण बहुत टाइम रो देखंतु कम्युनिटी रे जो कॉमन लैंड गुडा एनक्रोचमेंट कर दोचंती सेठी प्लास्टिक गलिया बलिया पड़ी कि आपनकर जेतेबेले पानी आसीबा जेतेबेले आपनकर बात्या होची सेही टाइम रे बहुत वर्षा भी हुए वर्षा हेले फ्लैश फ्लड होबार चांसेस होची तो जदि आमे कम्युनिटी लेवल इवेन यूथ माने हाँ यूथ मैंने जब कंट्रीब्यूट करें कि जो एनक्रोचमेंट होची कम्युनिटी जो लैंड गुड़ा ताकू जदि से माने फ्री रखी पारिबे इवेन पानी गुड़ा भी ड्रेनेज हो पारिबो आ फ्लैश फ्लड होबार संभावनाटा चांसेसटा कमी जिवो इवेन आपनकर जो बहुत सारी इंस्टीट्यूशन
because of interest of time yes I really want to I'll make sure that they're all fully available until the band comes on during lunch and more interest of time we're not even going to summarize this I will tell you why the Dharitri Youth Conclave is important. It's important because a lot of doers, it's not just talkers, they're doers on stage, they're doers down below there. Please get together and don't talk about the same things that we all know again and again. Please come up with some new ideas because there is also a Dharitri Climate Grant which is ready to fund such initiatives and be excited to see who are the 5 winners who are going to get it this time. And we have a lifetime achiever here with us. So please walk up to her, talk to her. Come up with your new ideas. It's enough of talking about the problems. It's time for the solutions. You've all been wonderful panelists and you've been a great audience. Now let's all get together to take this forward to Dharitri Youth Conclave. Making this conclave a success and making this work will benefit Odisha's environment. So let's do it together for this planet. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Hello. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much to our moderator and to our panelists. Here we come to the end of the panel discussion. Sorry, आमे आउ अधिक प्रश्न नहीं परनु हमको लंच बेले बहुत समय मिलिबो तापर हमरो म्यूजिकल सेशन भी अछि आपण समस्ते रही परिबे एवं हमरो पैनलिस्ट को सहित वन ऑन वन डिस्कशन करि परिबे आउ चारि पांचटी हाथ मु देखि छी मिडिल रोड रे आउ सेपटे एंड रे ब्लैक कुर्ता पिंदी के देयर वाज दिस जेंटलमैन समस्ते ट्राई करूछन्ती पचारिबा पई आई वुड रियली हाईली अर्ज कि आपण समस्ते लंच टाकू नेटवर्किंग लंच करि दियंतु आ समस्ते कथावार्ता निश्चय करंतु we would like to now felicitate greet and thank our honorable panelists and moderator for the session. I would request our CEO Dharitri and Odisha Post Srimati Adyasha Satpathy to kindly do the honors. First I would request her to felicitate our panelist, Ms. Hita Lakhani. May I invite to present the felicitation to our panelist, Shri Tathagata Satpathy, our honorable editor, to the stage as well. Okay. On behalf of him, Madam is doing it. Many, many congratulations, Ms. Hita Lakhani. We thank you for agreeing to being our panelist for the session. Thank you so much for your time. I would request ma'am to felicitate Shri Punyashlok Bhaduri, our honorable panelist for the session, Youth Conclave 2024. Thank you so much, sir, for your presence. We are so happy to have heard your insights. Thank you so much. Now, I would request ma'am to felicitate our panelist, Shri Dibyakanta Nayak. Thank you very much for sharing your experience with us and motivating everyone to do their job even better. Thank you very much, Shri Nayak, for your presence and your words and the energy as well. Thank you. And finally, of course, our very efficient moderator, Shri Arun Krishnamurthy. Thank you so much for agreeing to moderate our panel session. Mrs. Adyasha Satpathy felicitating and getting reversely felicitation also. Many wishes, Shri Krishnamurthy, and thank you so much, Srimati Adyasha Satpathy, for being our panelist as well. Many people have been demanding that Madam should be also one of our panelists, as Sir has been before too. So here we come to the end of the panel discussion. Can we take a group photograph and then we will move on for the award session. Dr. Raman Sukumar sir and Shri Tathagata Satpathy sir, please join us for this group photo. Thank you so much. Please have your seats, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Now let us start with the award session. We are very happy and privileged to start with the announcement of Lifetime Achievement Award. To present the awards for the first award, may I invite on the stage Dr. Raman Sukumar sir, Mrs. Adyasha Satpathy, Shri Tathagat Satpathy, and Shri Siddharth Mohanty to the stage, please. With a round of applause, please welcome the dignitaries to the stage to present the first award. Warm welcome. So ladies and gentlemen, for the first award, as I just mentioned, it is the Lifetime Achievement Award. It goes to Shrimati Jamuna Tudu with a huge round of applause. We will invite her It is both a privilege and a profound honor to stand before you today to introduce a truly remarkable individual, a woman whose life and work have had a lasting impact on the environment and whose dedication to the cause of nature and conservation continues to inspire countless people across the country. And her name is synonymous with environmental activism, resilience, and unwavering commitment to protecting the earth for future generations. Here we have a video. Let us have a look at it.
देखिए बहुत ही जरूरी है आज का दौर में जंगल को बचाना, पेड़ पौधा को बचाना। लोगों को जागरूक करती हूँ और जंगल बचाने के लिए अभियान चलाती हूँ। मेरा साथी महिलाएं है और महिलाओं को लेके ही मैंने जंगल को सुरक्षा करने के लिए काम करती हूँ।
Born in Odisha's Mayurbhanj district, Jamuna Tudu is best known for her work in the fight to preserve the forests in Jharkhand. In the face of adversity and great personal challenges, Jamuna became a fierce advocate for the environment and in doing so earned the well-deserved nickname Lady Tarzan.
बहुत खुश हूँ जो मुझे भी एक भगवान ने महिलाओं के रूप में जन्म दिया है। हर साल हमारे जो महिलाओं का साथ में मैंने पेड़ में राखी बांधने का काम करती हूँ। तो जीवित रहते हुए हम लोग जंगल को किसी को काटने नहीं देते।
A testament to her strength, determination, and her deep connection with the natural world. Her role in the Van Suraksha Samiti has been instrumental in safeguarding large stretches of forest land. Through her leadership, communities have learned the power of collective action in protecting their environment. Jamuna Tudu's extraordinary contributions have not gone unnoticed.
2004 का बाद में ना मैं गांव से बाहर निकले, इसी तरह जैसे गांव का लोगों को जागृत करने के लिए 1:30 बजे रात को मतलब डकाती लोग घुस गया और वो लोग धमकी देने लगा। वो लोग बोला आप अगर ये सब काम कीजिएगा तो आपको हम लोग जान से मार देंगे। आप ये जो गांव में जाके जागृत कर रही महिला लोगों को लकड़ी मत काटिए, अमुक मत कीजिए, पत्थर मत लेके जाइए, कुछ भी छूने नहीं देती हो आप लोग जंगल का, तो इसलिए सब काम आपको छोड़ना होगा, तब जाके आपको मतलब रह सकिएगा, नहीं तो आपका जान जाएगा।
She was awarded the prestigious Padma Shri, one of India's highest civilian honors, in recognition of her exceptional work in the field of environment conservation. She is also a prominent figure in India's ongoing struggle to balance development with environmental sustainability, and her example continues to inspire those who work in the field of environmental justice.
Wow, absolutely magnificent. Padma Shri Jamuna Tudu, the Lady Tarzan, a true hero of the environment, a symbol of courage, compassion, action. It's a great privilege to have her with us here today. Shrimati Jamuna Tudu Mohadayanku, बहुत बहुत सम्मान, बहुत बहुत शुभेच्छा। मु अनुरोध करिबी वर्तमान जीवन व्यापी साधना सम्मान बा लाइफ टाइम अचीवमेंट अवार्ड रे आमे तांको फेलिसिटेट करिबा। आमर गर्व, आमर सौभाग्य यूथ कनक्लेव 2024 धरित्री रो एई मंच रे आमे सम्मानित करिबार सौभाग्य अर्जन करिछु पद्मश्री जमुना टुडू महोदयांको। गच्छ को राखी बांधिबा, गच्छ को बंचेबा आ गच्छ पाखरे ठिया हेई रहिबा, निज अधिकार कोन जानिबा आ जंगल को प्रोटेक्शन देकी बंचे की रखिबा, एथिरे सिद्ध हस्त एवं आम समस्तଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ प्रेरणार उत्स पद्मश्री श्रीमती जमुना टुडू महोदया। जोरदार ताली सहित आपनकर आमे सम्मान करछु ए मंच रे एवं अनुरोध करिबो दया करी किछि शब्द आम समस्तଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ आपण किछि कहिबे एवं आमको आहुरी प्रेरणा देबे।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आप संचालन कर रही हो। आज भुवनेश्वर के होटल सस्ती प्रीमियम में धरित्री की ओर से ऑर्गेनाइज क्लाइमेट चेंज में उपस्थित सभी को, सम्मानीय अतिथि सभी को मैं नमस्कार करती हूँ, जोहार करती हूँ और स्वागत करती हूँ। बहुत खुशी की बात है आज धरित्री की मंच में बुलाने के लिए और कुछ बोलने का मौका देने के लिए धरित्री की सभी को मैं फिर से धन्यवाद देती हूँ। आप सभी ने देखा और मैं एक ओडिशा की ही लड़की हूँ। मयूरभंज डिस्ट्रिक्ट और रारमपुर विधानसभा, गांव रोंगामाटिया, पोस्ट ऑफिस बटकुलेबिरा और झारखंड की बहू बन के गई हूँ। चकुलिया प्रखंड मुटुरखाम गांव और टोला बेड़ाडी। तो जब मेरा 1998 में जब मैं शादी होके झारखंड गई तो मेरा ससुराल गांव का सामने में बहुत बड़ा जंगल तो है, लेकिन उजाड़ा हुआ जंगल। और मेरा जो जहाँ मायके है रोंगामटिया, वहाँ पर उस क्षेत्र में पहले पेड़ पौधा का बहुत कमी था। पापा का साथ मैंने कई सारा पौधा लगाती थी। तो बस उसी को देखते हुए मैंने झारखंड में जाके जो उजाड़ा हुआ जंगल, उसको गांव के लोगों को, गांव के महिलाओं को एकजुट करके जंगल को बचाने के लिए मैंने एकजुट किया। आज हम लोग क्लाइमेट चेंज के लिए सभी यहाँ पर एकत्रित हुए हैं और उस दिन का दिन में मुझे बस पापा का जो काम को याद करते हुए मैंने काम करती थी। गांव के महिलाओं को एकजुट किए और अपना जो गांव है, जो उजाड़ा हुआ गांव को हम लोग बचाने के लिए सुबह शाम दोपहर महिलाओं को लेकर के मैंने जंगल जाती थी और जंगल में जा कर के हम लोग चारों तरफ घूमते थे, जब भाई कोई काट ना दे। और गांव के लोगों को एकजुट करने के लिए मुझे बहुत सारी कठिनाई का सामना करना पड़ा था, लेकिन मैंने सभी गांव के लोगों को जागृत करने का काम किया, जो जंगल, पेड़ पौधा और पर्यावरण का महत्व बारे में उन लोगों को बताए। जिस गांव में, जिस एरिया में जल मतलब पहाड़ और पेड़ नहीं रहता है, उसको पता है पेड़ पौधा का महत्व। तो मैंने गांव के लोगों को एकजुट किया और एकजुट करके हमारा जो मुटुरखाम जंगल को सुरक्षा करने का काम किया। जब मेरा गांव के लोग एकजुट हुए तो मैंने फिर गांव से बाहर निकले। मैंने दूसरा गांव, तीसरा गांव, चौथा गांव करते करते मैंने पूरा पूर्वी सिंहभूम जिला में, मेरा पूर्वी सिंहभूम जिला पड़ता है, पूर्वी सिंहभूम जिला में कम से कम 400 से 500 अधिक मैंने वन सुरक्षा समिति गठन किया। और जब मैंने गठन किया 500 समिति, तो मैंने मेरा साथ में ऐसे बहुत सारा समस्या सामने आती थी। मैंने आप सभी को शॉर्ट में बता रही हूँ, मेरा जो हिस्ट्री है बहुत लंबा चौड़ा है, तो इसीलिए मैं आप सभी को शॉर्ट में ही बताना चाहती हूँ क्योंकि समय का अभाव से। जब मैंने गांव से बाहर निकली तो मेरा साथ में मेरा जो आसपास में माफिया लोग रहते थे, उन लोगों का नज़र मेरा ऊपर में पड़ा था। वो लोग सोच रहे हैं अगर जमुना टुडू अगर हर गांव में जाएगी, जंगल को सुरक्षा करने के लिए लोगों को जागृत करेगी, तो हम लोग का दाना पानी नहीं चलेगा। क्योंकि माफिया लोगों का इच्छा है जो भाई हम जंगल से पत्थर काटे, जंगल से पेड़ काटे और जंगल को उजाड़े और अपना आराम से ऐश मौज करे। वो लोग कभी नहीं सोचते हैं जो जंगल रहने से क्या होगा, पहाड़ पर्वत रहने से क्या होगा। तो जब मैंने गांव से बाहर जब निकली तो माफिया लोगों ने मेरा पीछा किया। मेरा साथ में जो मेरा जो स्टेशन है रेलवे स्टेशन, वहाँ पर मुझे रेलवे स्टेशन में मार करके लोहलुहान कर दिया गया था। मेरा घर में डकैती करा दिया गया था 2009 में। लेकिन जो लोग मेरा घर में डकैती किया गया था वो लोग को जब मैंने केस FIR दर्ज किया तो वो लोग को सभी को पकड़ा गया और आज भी वो लोग जेल में है। और जो मेरा छोटा सा गहना मतलब लेके बेचा था, वो लोग सोना का कुछ गहना वगैरह था तो वो लोग लेके जो बेचा था, जिन्होंने खरीदा था जो सोना वाला दुकान जो खरीदा था उनको भी 7 साल का जेल हुआ है। तो आज भी वो लोग जेल में ही है। तो मुझे बहुत सारा ऐसे धमकाया गया, बहुत सारा डराया गया, लेकिन मैंने बावजूद पीछे नहीं हटी और मैंने अपना काम करते गए। और उसके लिए ही मुझे आज हमारे देश के जो प्रधानमंत्री माननीय नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने लेडी टार्जन का नाम दिया है और हमारे भारत के राष्ट्रपति मुझे पद्मश्री से सम्मानित किया है। और उसके लिए मैंने हर साल लोगों को जागृत करने के लिए मैंने रक्षाबंधन के शुभ अवसर पर पेड़ों में राखी बांधने का काम करती हूँ। जैसे हम लोग भाई को राखी बांधते हैं, इसी तरह मैंने पेड़ों में 1000 महिलाओं का साथ में मिलकर हम लोग राखी बांधते हैं। और विश्व पर्यावरण के शुभ अवसर पर 1000 महिलाओं का साथ में मैंने पेड़ों में आरती उतारने का काम करती हूँ, जो लोगों को जागृत करने के लिए। तो आज हम सभी पर्यावरण प्रेमी अगर धरातल में काम कर रहे हैं, कुछ पूर्व वक्ताओं ने बहुत कुछ बताया, अगर हम लोग सभी धरातल में काम करेंगे तो पर्यावरण के लिए हमारा जो देश में जो विश्व में जो चिंतित है वो पर्यावरण का चिंता हम लोग का दूर होगा। और जब तक हम लोग जागृत नहीं होंगे तो बहुत सारा हमारा सामने में समस्या खड़ी होगी। तो इसीलिए हम आप सभी से इतना ही रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी जो भाई हम सभी कोई भी शुभ कार्य करने से पहले हम लोग को पौधा लगाना बहुत जरूरी है। और पौधा को लगा के छोड़ने का नहीं है, उसको बचाने का है। अगर आज का दिन में बहुत सारा संस्था वगैरह है, हम वो लोगों से भी अनुरोध करूंगी जो भाई पौधा लगाए ठीक है, लेकिन उसको बचाने का भी काम कीजिएगा। क्योंकि अगर पौधा हमने लगा दिए और छोड़ दिए, आज आप देख रहे हैं देश में हमारा झारखंड में, हम तो अभी झारखंड का बात बोलूंगी, झारखंड में जो हाथी घर आ रहे हैं, घर आने का कारण क्या है? आप और हम हैं। उनका घर को हम लोग उजाड़ रहे हैं, उनका घर को हम लोग नष्ट कर रहे हैं, तो हाथी घर में आ रहे हैं। तो उनका घर को सुरक्षा रखने के लिए हम सभी का ही दायित्व है। हम सभी को दायित्व लेके काम करना होगा, जिम्मेदार लेके काम करना होगा, तभी जाके हमारा देश आगे जाएगा, आगे बढ़ेगा। और मैं ज़्यादा नहीं बोल के मेरा वाणी को विराम देती हूँ। जय भारत, जय झारखंड, जय ओडिशा, भारत माता की जय।
भारत माता की जय। बहुत बहुत सम्मान, बहुत बहुत आभार है आपका पद्मश्री श्रीमती जमुना टुडू जी, और आपके कार्य के लिए आपको सत सत नमन। भगवान जी आपको स्वस्थ रखे, अच्छा रखे, सुरक्षित रखे, और आप भी हमारे जंगल को, हमारे पेड़ों को सुरक्षा देती रहे। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद है फिर से आपका। आगू को बढ़िबा। So I would like to thank Srimati and Shri Satpathy, Dr. Raman Sukumar and Shri Siddharth Mohanty for felicitating our Padma Shri Jamuna Tudu with the Lifetime Achievement Award. For the next award presentation, I would invite Srimati Satpathy, Shri Satpathy, along with them Dr. Raman Sukumar and Shri Manish Agarwal to the stage, please. Warm welcome on the stage. Now for the award presentation. I would invite our next awardee, Dr. Bichitrananda Biswal. It's not often that we encounter. Yes, please.
Bichitrananda Biswal, fondly known as Bichi Bhai, has dedicated himself to the conservation of olive ridley turtles. Making it his mission to protect the vulnerable species. His tireless efforts have saved countless turtles and have ignited a lasting movement. Through his awareness campaigns, he has inspired local communities, especially women and youth, to join him in his conservation work. But Bichi Bhai's work doesn't stop there. He has expanded his conservation efforts to restore mangroves. By building artificial sparrow homes, he is tackling the alarming decline in their population. His devotion to wildlife and nature makes him a true champion for the environment.
Dharitri Youth Conclave 2024 awardee Shri Bichitrananda Biswal. It's not often that we encounter someone whose work and spirit alter the course of millions of lives. Today we are fortunate to introduce a remarkable individual whose pioneering work in wildlife conservation and environmental protection has made a lasting difference. We are felicitating Shri Bichitrananda Biswal, fondly known as Bichi Bhai, whose life has been a testament to dedication, resilience and a relentless commitment to environmental protection. बहुत बहुत शुभेच्छा एवं अभिनंदन श्री बिचित्रानंद विश्वाल महोदय को आमर ए मंच रे अनेक अनेक सम्मान आपणकर प्रेरणादायी कार्य आगको मध्य एमती जारी रहो ईश्वरଙ୍କ आशीर्वाद आपणଙ୍କ सहित रहो एतिके आमे मंचरु प्रार्थना करूछु बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद थैंक यू सो मच सर प्लीज टेक योर सीट I would like to thank Shri Manish Agarwal also for coming to the stage and presenting the award. I would request Srimati Adyasha Satpathy, Shri Tathagat Satpathy and Dr. Raman Sukumar to kindly stay back with us for presenting the next set of awards. For now, we are going to go for the felicitation of our honorable jury for Climate Grant 2024. एते समस्ते आमर एप्लिकेंट्स अछंती और तांको भितरे कठिन परिश्रम करी किछि जण विनर को बाछिबा गोटे बहुत कष्ट काम आ जे आम परिवार सहित जोड़ी हेई ताहाको संभव करिसंती सेही ज्यूरी सदस्यों को वर्तमान सम्मानित करिवार समय I would invite the first jury. I would invite the first jury, Shri Charudatta Panigrahi, to the stage, please. A progressive thinker, futurist, and an acclaimed author. He has set up institutions in India and abroad which work in the field and with communities in climate, livelihoods, and technology for development. A policy advisor to various government bodies and a member of State Niti Ayog, a TED speaker. Well, he has been consistently championing the youth-led soft power and creative economy of Odisha and its uniqueness in the country. We thank you, Shri Panigrahi, for joining our family as our judge. So please stay back with us. I would invite now on the stage our second jury. He would be Shri Soumya Ranjan Biswal. Congratulations and welcome on the stage. Is one of the 6 United Nations India Yuva Advocates 2022-24 dedicated to mobilizing the younger generation to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal 2030. For over 11 years, Mr. Biswal has been at the forefront of popularizing community-led climate action initiatives in Odisha through mangrove conservation, olive ridley sea turtle habitat protection, Ramsar site preservation, and so many others. Congratulations and thank you so much for agreeing to be our jury for this year as well. I would request you to kindly stay back with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have also another jury member, Shri Richard Mohapatra. He couldn't be present here because of some illness. So, we wish him all the best, and also we wish him all the luck that he gets better soon. And we thank him from the bottom of our heart from Dharitri family for Mr. Richard Mohapatra, our another jury member. Thank you. I would request you all to kindly present the next award. Okay. May I request our jury to kindly speak for 2 minutes about climate grant winners and how it was easy or difficult for them to judge.
Namaskar Samastanko. It's not only about choosing who's doing good work, who's doing next best work, who's not doing so much of good work, etc. But more importantly, there are 2 points that I want to tell everyone. Ajikali climate change has become the new fad. Jaha ko pacharle climate change upre kama kurchanti sabu ade climate change upre discussion chalchi. But this kind of a platform is one of the rare platforms where you have civil society participation. That please try to understand what I'm trying to tell you, that civil society participation joti community based organizations and youth led initiatives jo mane kamo karuchanti, they have a voice. This is not about PowerPoint presentations about doomsday. Eita hei jauchi, eita hei jibo. That's all over the internet. We are not doing anything new there. We are adding value in this room where you are having civil society organizations. Again, I'm repeating, civil society organizations. Number 2, in a state like Odisha, NGOs are everywhere. A huge population of NGOs. This is one of the rare platforms where you have active workers who are felicitated. That's a major shift. I would say this is a paradigm shift in development work in Odisha. Aguku kon hobo samastanga amo upre hi depend kare. And number 3, COP29. Kali sandhya bele I was in COP29 attending virtually. COP29 till date could not decide ame kete paisa dabu developing country ko. They are still squabbling over 300 billion dabu annual, na 400 billion dabu, na 300 billion dabu. While they are squabbling, such initiatives are commitments and localization of COP29. This is localization. What is happening 30,000 feet might not affect our lives, but this is affecting our day-to-day life. So these are the 3 aspects I wanted to tell you. Thank you so much for this initiative.
Thank you very much, Shri Panelist.
Thank you.
Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, we come for the award presentation to the climate grant winners. Let us see who are the winners. So, the first name who has been in the climate grant winner list of Dharitri Youth Conclave 2024. Let's go for the individual category. The first name, Pupun Sahu. Congratulations.
Pupun Sahu, a humble carpenter from Bhadikila village in Nayagarh district, is transforming the harsh landscape near his house with nothing but his own hands and an indomitable spirit. Without support or the hope of recognition, he has spent over a decade carrying water from a nearby stream to nourish the dry, stubborn earth. He has planted over 1,000 trees, cultivating life where nothing could grow. His love for nature is unshakable. Even devastating forest fires could not break his resolve. Pupun's work embodies the power of individual dedication, proving that one person's love for nature can breathe life into barren lands and inspire hope.
Pupun Sahu, we are so happy and privileged to have you here as our climate grant winner this year. बहुत बहुत शुभेच्छा अभिनंदन आपणकर कार्य पाई गछ लगेबा आ गछ को बंचई रखिबा उभय होची हमर काम हमर कर्तव्य हमर दायित्व ए काम रे सबु बेले एक्सेल करिसेंती सुंदर भाव रे निज दायित्व तोलाइछंती पुपुन साहू बहुत बहुत शुभेच्छा एवं अभिनंदन आपनको धरित्री यूथ कॉन्क्लेव 2024 रही मंचरू आपणकर सुंदर कार्य ईश्वर का आशीर्वाद सहित आगो को एमिति चालू थाओ। Congratulations. परवर्ती ना इंडिविजुअल कैटेगरी रे क्लाइमेट ग्रांट विनर होचंती इंडिविजुअल कैटेगरी रे परवर्ती ना क्लाइमेट ग्रांट विनर नंबर 2 फॉर धरित्री यूथ कॉन्क्लेव 2024 इज त्रिलोचन साहू. Congratulations. Welcome on the stage.
An abandoned pit might seem insignificant, but for Keunjhar's Trilochan Sahu, it's the start of something transformative, a canvas for a flourishing forest. Year after year, he leads a Van Mahotsav focusing on forest and wildlife conservation. This year, he led a plantation drive of around 1,000 saplings in Anandpur subdivision. His initiative, I Am the Tree Speaking, urges people to plant a tree on their birthdays, fostering a deep connection with nature. A passionate filmmaker, he uses this medium to raise awareness about environmental issues. His message is simple yet powerful. By protecting nature, we protect ourselves.
We have Trilochan Sahu, Climate Grant winner. Dharitri Youth Conclave 2024. गछ लगाइबा ताहार सुरक्षा करिबा जंगल पोड़ी रु गछ एवं प्राणी माननकु बंचाइबा एवं ता सहित जन्मदिन रे गछटी लगांतु जन्मदिन सहित गछ को जोड़िबा एई सुंदर कार्य रे महत्वपूर्ण कार्य रे निजर दायित्व निर्वाह करछंती श्री त्रिलोचन साहू को धरित्री र मंचरु अशेष अशेष संवर्धना सम्मान श्रद्धा एवं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद श्री साहू। सबू क्लाइमेट ग्रांट विनर को सहित आम गोटे ग्रुप फोटो नवा किछि क्षण भितर तेणु मु अनुरोध करी आम क्लाइमेट ग्रांट विनर माने दयाकरी मंच पाखरे ही उपस्थित रहिबे। परवर्ती सम्मान क्लाइमेट ग्रांट विनर रही सम्मान जाउची ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को। ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कैटेगरी रे 2024 मसीहा संस्करण धरित्री यूथ कॉन्क्लेव रो क्लाइमेट ग्रांट विनर होछंती आंचलिक विकास परिषद। कांग्रेचुलेशंस।
A sparrow alone is lost, but a flock can soar high. This saying embodies the spirit of Anchalika Vikas Parishad, an organization that has worked tirelessly for over 13 years to rejuvenate the ecosystem. Under the leadership of Sagar Kumar Patra, they have revived the population of house sparrows by distributing over 6,000 artificial nests, allowing thousands of sparrows to thrive where their chirps had long fallen silent. Their efforts don't stop there. From protecting Tampara Lake to rescuing injured wildlife, their conservation efforts are varied and exemplary. The group's tree plantation drives, awareness campaigns and conservation initiatives for elephants, vultures and olive ridley turtles promise a more vibrant future for the coming generations.
Anchalika Vikas Parishad, we are so proud to be announcing your name in this year's Climate Grant winners list. Many congratulations. परिवेश रे पुणी थरे प्राण स्थापन करिबारे जो कार्य जो दक्षता आपण देखैछंती ताहा परिवेश को आहुरी शक्ति देइछि आहुरी सामर्थ्य देइछि आपणको ऊपर भगवान को आशीर्वाद रहू एई कार्य आहुरी त्वरान्वित गति रे आगु को माडी चलू ताहा ही हमर एई मंच तरफ रु प्रार्थना एवं कामना कांग्रेचुलेशंस आंचलिक विकास परिषद ग्रुप रो प्रत्येक मेंबर को बहुत बहुत शुभेच्छा एवं धन्यवाद जो माने मंच रे अछंती जो माने मंच रे पहुंची पारि नाहंती से समस्त को हम परिवार तरफ रु अनेक अनेक शुभाभिनंदन आंचलिक विकास परिषद एई संस्था परे वर्तमान जीवा हमें परवर्ती ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आडको जे जीति क्लाइमेट ग्रांट विनर हेछंती अवार्ड पाइछंती गोटे छोटो हिंट होची मते लागुची तांको तरफ रु हमें गोटे ऑडियंस क्वेश्चन रिसीव करथिलो तो जो केते जण संस्था प्रश्न पचारथिले आपण गेस करू थांतु जे ये को संस्था रो हेतिबे लेट्स गो धरित्री यूथ कॉन्क्लेव 2024 ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कैटेगरी रे क्लाइमेट ग्रांट विनर होछंती जंगल लोर फाउंडेशन many congratulations
Imagine a world where animals roam free and the air echoes with calls of rare birds. For Jungle Lore Foundation, led by Akash Ranjan Rath, this vision fuels every step they take. It has fought tirelessly to protect Odisha's rich biodiversity from dense forests to fragile coasts. They have stood firm against poachers and worked towards minimizing human-wildlife conflicts. Through programs like Jungle Kahuchi and Coastal Child Stay Wild, they inspire communities and school children to become nature's guardians. Thanks to their relentless efforts, close to 5,000 olive ridley hatchlings now swim freely. From rescuing rare species to protecting fragile ecosystems, Jungle Lore isn't just conserving nature. They're fostering a future where humans and wildlife can coexist.
जंगल लोर फाउंडेशन कांग्रेचुलेशंस मो अनुरोध करी आपणकर ग्रुप रो लीडर श्री आकाश रंजन रथ मध्य हमको मंच रे जोग देबे प्लीज
मु एप्रिशिएट करी आकाश बाबूंकर एते ग्रेस अच्छी जे पिला मानकू तांकर सान पुओ झील को आगू को पठे कि आप आसुना बट यू हैव टू कम
प्लीज आपण माने मंचर मध्य भाग रे हमको जोग दियंतु जंगल लोर फाउंडेशन विनर ऑफ क्लाइमेट ग्रांट धरित्री यूथ कॉन्क्लेव 2024 प्रकृतिर संपूर्ण सुरक्षा करिबा पई सब बेले कर्तव्यरत सब बेले चेष्टारत केवल वृक्ष माननकु नुहे प्राणी माननकु मध्य सुरक्षा देबारे सब बेले चेष्टित अछंती फ्लोरा और फौना उभयर प्रोटेक्शन निहाती आवश्यक जहाँ सुंदर भाव में बुझी एवं से दिगरे निजर संपूर्ण अनुष्ठान सहित सब बेले कार्यरत रही जंगल लोर फाउंडेशन क्लाइमेट ग्रांट विनर many wishes and more power to you. Congratulations once again, Shri Akash Ranjan Ratho and his entire team of Jungle Lore Foundation. The final name, ladies and gentlemen, for this year, the final name in the list of climate grant winners, Dharitri Youth Conclave 2024. समस्त छाती टिके टिके धक धक नियाती हवा दरकार जो माने एप्लिकेंट्स अछंती आ जो माने जानियो को चाहउछंती रिजल्ट समस्त टिके धक धक हो थाउ से धड़कन र धक धक र साउंड र अंत घटे की वर्तमान नाटी सुनिबा एंड द नेम इज तांको ना रे ही से कार्य अच्छी आउ से कार्य रे ही तांकर ना जारी रही द नेम ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज संग्राम कांग्रेचुलेशंस प्लीज कम ऑन द स्टेज
What's in a name? They say. Everything, when you live by it. True to its name, Sangram has waged a relentless battle for environmental conservation since 1995. Founded by Bhanu Mitra Acharya and led by Sanjukta Basa, its Green Brigade has empowered over 100 villages in the Simlipal biosphere, safeguarding forests from poachers and timber mafia. Their efforts have helped protect the population of tigers and elephants in the forest region. In recognition, the Forest Department has inducted over 1,000 volunteers into the Simlipal Tiger Protection Force. Their Hathi Mera Sathi program addresses human-elephant conflicts, empowering villagers with tools and training. Sangram also spreads awareness through street plays and workshops. Over nearly 3 decades, the organization has grown into a formidable force for environmental conservation.
अनेक अनेक शुभेच्छा सहित मंच रे स्वागत करूछु संग्राम अनुष्ठान को दयाकरी आपण समस्ते मंचर मध्य भाग रे हमको जोग दियंतु मु अनुरोध करिवि आपणकर सम्मान संवर्धनार पर्व पई वन्य प्राणी को बंचाई रखिले आमे बंची रहिबा बाघ बंचिले आमे बंचिबा हाथी बंचिले आमे बंचिबा प्राणी माने बंचिले आमे बंचिबा एही वार्ता सबु बेले निजर कार्य माध्यम रे विभिन्न बैठक माध्यम रे स्कूल कॉलेज अनुष्ठान रे पहुंची समस्तଙ୍କ पाखरे पहुंचाउछंती जेमिति डॉक्टर रमन सुकुमार महोदय कथा आमे शुणुथिले हाथी बंचाओ हाथ मिसाओ ठीक से परी बाघ बंचिले आमे बंचिबा हाथी बंचिले आमे बंचिबा एवं जंगल पाखरे थिबा आदिवासी बासिंदा को किपरि जंगल को आहुरी भल पाइबा सिखेबा सामान्य मोहुल टिके पाई जंगल रे निया न लगै दबा एमती अनेक वार्ता एवं संदेश दउछंती संग्राम आपन को अनेक अनेक शुभेच्छा मैडम सर एवं अनुष्ठान रो सबु पिला मानन को आमे शुभेच्छा जणाउछु आपनकर सुंदर काम एमती जारी रहो मु वर्तमान अनुरोध करिवि आपण मंच रे रही जानतु आमर 5 जण विनर को सहित प्लीज आमे एते जण को जेहेतु अकोमोडेट करि परबनी सबु ऑर्गेनाइजेशन रो ग्रुप लीडर सर प्लीज स्टे विथ अस फॉर अ ग्रुप फोटोग्राफ विथ ऑल द क्लाइमेट ग्रांट विनर्स पुपुन साहू त्रिलोचन साहू आमको मंच रे जोग देबे आंचलिक विकास परिषद जंगल लोर फाउंडेशन एवं संग्राम रो लीडर दयाकरी आमको मंच रे जोग देबे एक ग्रुप फोटोग्राफ माई मु अनुरोध करी पद्मश्री जमुना टुडू महोदया दयाकरी आमको मंच रे जोग देबे एक ग्रुप फोटोग्राफ रे हम मैम आपको मंच पर स्वागत करना चाहेंगे ये ग्रुप फोटोग्राफ में प्लीज पुपुन साहू जे कि निजर कार्य जारी रखिछंती नयागढ़ जिल्ला रे त्रिलोचन साहू निज कार्य जारी रखिछंती केउंझर जिल्ला रे आंचलिक विकास परिषद निज कार्य जारी रखिछंती गंजाम जिल्ला रे जंगल लोर फाउंडेशन निज कार्य जारी रखिछंती पुरी जिल्ला रे एवं संग्राम अनुष्ठान निजर कार्य जारी रखिछंती मयूरभंज जिल्ला रे आपण समस्त को बहुत बहुत सम्मान Thank you so much. Finally, I would request everyone to kindly have their seats. Just Mrs. Satpathy, Mr. Satpathy, Dr. Raman Sukumar sir, please stay back with us. Shri Panigrahi, thank you very much sir. Would you please have your seat? Thank you. Tathagat sir, please stay with us. Raman sir, please stay with us because we are to felicitate Dr. Raman Sukumar sir for his presence and for agreeing to be our keynote speaker for Dharitri Youth Conclave 2024. Here is a memento so that you remember, sir, you are a beautiful and integral part of our family. Thank you so much for your presence and time and words. Could we have a big round of applause for sir, please? Thank you so much. Thank you, Srimati Satpathy. Thank you, Shri Satpathy. Ladies and gentlemen, आमे जेतेबेले यूथ कॉन्क्लेव करिछु तार नारे ही यूथ अछि तेणु युव गोष्ठी ठारू किछि आइडिया नबा किछि सजेशन नबा तांको कार्य अभिज्ञता भितरे सुनिबा ताहा मध्ये हमर दायित्व और कर्तव्य. सो आई वुड नाउ रिक्वेस्ट आवर स्टूडेंट्स टू काइंडली कम ऑन द स्टेज and share with us their ideas and experience about their work on the stage of Dharitri Youth Conclave. The first student to come and address the gathering will be from Ravenshaw University, Cuttack, Alok Mahapatra. Let's welcome him. Welcome, Alok Mahapatra.
So good morning everyone and Jai Jagannath. Myself Alok Mahapatra. Currently I am pursuing my graduation in sociology from Ravenshaw University. So I am grateful that my institute had promoted me and sent me here, and I want to thank Dharitri for allowing me to speak something. So I want to share my personal experiences that basically I am from Ganjam, Brahmapur. So I was a student of Odisha Adarsha Vidyalaya. So there our school was situated in an arid land where the land was not that much fertile. So in that place, me and my friends, I was talking about the year 2016 and 17. So during those school days, we have promoted students to bring saplings from their local areas or from their homes, and after bringing that, converting them into plants in the school premises. So when after COVID in 2022, when I went to my school, so I saw that, means I can't believe myself that more than 500 small plants, which are trees now. So this makes me immensely happy, and these are the small changes which makes us proud. So next I want to say that currently I am staying in Cuttack. So mo ghar side re mane oliya guda ko dispose properly houni. And beside my home, सेठी जहाँ गार्बेज गुड़ा रुहे लोक रोड साइड रे फोपाड़ती. तो सब बड़ गोटे प्रॉब्लम है गाई मैंने से गुड़ा कंज्यूम कर दियंती. तो जहाँ द्वारा सब्सिक्वेंटली गाई गुड़ा डेथ भी हो जाए. सो आई रिक्वेस्ट एवरीवन पॉलिथीन यूज जिते दूर संभव एवॉइड करंतु टू प्रोटेक्ट आवर एनिमल्स and to protect our mother earth. And at last I want to say that I was studying and I found that Samantara sir, who worked for Dangriya Kandha indigenous people and protest against plants for the bauxite mining in the Niyamgiri hill range. So situated in Raigada and Kalahandi. A 2013 Supreme Court ruling was stopped the mining plants. Samantara sir was awarded the Goldman Environment Prize in 2017, which we can say that the Green Nobel Prize. And at last I want to say the Chandaga forest region of Bhubaneswar, which is declining and the trees are getting cut. So government should take steps, and the localites, they also show their concerns towards it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Alok, for sharing your thoughts and ideas. Bartaman, Paravarti speaker, Hujanti, Ridhi Agarwal from SCB Medical College, Cuttack. Welcome on the stage, Ridhi.
Jai Jagannath, a very good afternoon to all of you. I am Ridhi Agarwal from SCB Medical College and Hospital. So, how many of us are aware of what expo is going on just beside our location for today? It is Odisha International Plast Expo. Maybe that's the irony of a developing nation. Development and building resilience must go hand in hand. So today, while traveling from Cuttack to Bhubaneswar, my eyes went on the dried Kathjodi. I was instantly reminded of my childhood days when I would be filled with happiness to see it full of life and water. The floods, the drought, the cyclones are not just local issues. They are symptoms of a bigger change. And how many of us are still using ACs at home? Imagine we are in the month of November when once upon a time we would be covered with jackets. Something is wrong. You know, when I got the topic for this event, my first thought was how difficult it is to build resilience. I would always think that the smallest of things we do subconsciously in our day-to-day life, the things we are learning from our childhood, like switching off the lights and fans when not in use, or not separating the corner of milk packets, is all we can do. But when I joined SCB and as I visualize last 1 year in my professional domain, I realized that there is a lot more scope. Plantation drives for a first-year student was not exciting but an obligation. But you know, first years we had to go. But eventually, when I began to join such ventures, I realized that it was very fascinating to see how the busiest of our professors would do such a great job of planting hundreds of saplings. And one such day, a thought crossed my mind that when I become a consultant, I will give my best effort to convince every patient of mine to build resilience in his or her own capabilities. And maybe that would be enough. Coming to clinics, it has come to our information very recently that even non-smokers have been found with complete black lungs. And it is said that air pollution today should be treated like a COVID-19 pandemic. I don't think anything else can be more alarming. And to all the smokers in house, please quit it today. And in even out of it, we are very fortunate to be part of a state which is blessed with immense natural beauty. And Odisha is truly the best kept secret of India. But we as citizens and concerned tourists, we must preserve the sanity and purity of our natural reservoirs and tourism sites. In the race of modernism today, we do remember to follow our traditions and customs, but we forget to give even a single thought about our mother nature. Just for example, most of us use those polythene-coated paper boats or plastic boats very recently in Kartik Purnima. I use those banana bark boats and trust me, they were very beautiful. So, and I believe that if each one of us try to transform our own niche, the collective impact can be very transformative. Speaking about myself, I will try my best to properly segregate all the biomedical waste I produce as a hospital staff, and that's how I will try to transform my own niche. We as youth hold a very big responsibility for this cause, and if we start working from today, the day we become a developed nation, this place will be a better place to live in for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Agarwal. Now I would invite as our next student speaker, Archit Amlan Behra from Utkal University, Bhubaneswar.
जय जगन्नाथ एठारे उपस्थित थिबा मोर समस्त ज्ञानीगुणी परिवेश संवेदनशील व्यक्तिवृंद और श्रोताबण मानक मोर अभिनंदन एवं वंदन। मो ना अर्चित अम्लान बेहेरा मु उत्कल यूनिवर्सिटी रे परिवेश विज्ञान रे स्नातक उत्तर अध्ययन करुअछि। एठारे मते किछि कहिबार सुजोग मिलिथिबारु मु धरित्री परिवार को अभिनंदन ज्ञापन करुछि। मोर प्रथम अनुभूति होउछि जे इंटेंसिटी ऑफ एंड मैग्नीट्यूड ऑफ लाइटनिंग इज इंक्रीजिंग डे बाय डे, जा द्वारा अनेक धन जीवन हानि होउछि। पूर्वर 5-7 वर्ष पर आम जो वर्षा दिन आसे फुटबॉल पड़िया को जाऊ खेलिबा पई, किंतु एबे वर्षा जदि आसुची बिजुली भय आमे बाहर को जावाकू हेले 100 थर भाभी थाउ जे किछि अघटन न घटी जाऊ, किंतु एई बिजुली मारिबा द्वारा मृत्यु हार मध्य दिन को दिन बढ़िबा को लागुची, जहाँ एक क्लाइमेट चेंज रो बा परिवेश परिवर्तन गोटे मुख्य कारण बनवा को जाउची। एवं अन्य एक कथा होची अर्बन हिटिंग आइलैंड। यार अर्थ जे अर्बानाइजेशन और इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन जो एरिया रे होची तार एरिया रो तापमात्रा दिन को दिन बढ़िया को लागुची आज कंपेयर टू तार चारि पाखरे थिबा रूरल एरिया मानक तापमात्रा कम अच्छी, जहाँ द्वारा आमको ए शीत दिन आमको फैन लगे एसी लगे रहा पड़ुची। आमे जानुछु जे अर्बानाइजेशन एवं इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन उभय मनुष्यर विकास पाई निहाती आवश्यक, किंतु ता सहित आमको आम परिवेश माँ बा पृथ्वी माँ रो मध्य सुरक्षा निहाती आवश्यक। तेणु से मु 2 लाइन लिखिछि, वृक्ष हेउछि जीवनर सार आत्मार मूल अटे, वृक्ष हेउछि जीवनर सार आत्मार मूल अटे, निश्वासर शाखा बढ़ी जाई थाए लगाइले वृक्ष गोटे, निश्वासर शाखा बढ़ी जाई थाए लगाइले वृक्ष गोटे, वृक्ष विहुने पृथ्वीर चेर मूलरू उपुड़ी जीव, वृक्ष विहुने पृथ्वीर चेर मूलरू उपुड़ी जीव, विचार पूर्वर प्रलय आसीब ताकू जे न रखिब। एतिकिरे समस्त को धन्यवाद। मोर विचार को निजर मूल्यवान समय दे शुणुथिबारु मु समस्त को धन्यवाद ज्ञापन करुछि।
सुंदर शब्द गुड़िक बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद अर्चित अम्लान बेहरा। परवर्ती स्टूडेंट स्पीकर को मैं इनवाइट करिया को चाहिए एंड he is from XIMB आमिर अतीक। लेट्स हैव यू ऑन द स्टेज। ताली और टिक्के जोरे आस परिबो कि? थैंक यू।
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Amir Atik from Xavier Institute of Management, Bhubaneswar. So climate action may sound like a vast, overwhelming issue. We have been discussing it since hours, but its solution often lies with small and personal steps. For me, the journey began with something as simple as switching to reusable tote bags for shopping. Initially, it felt like a minor habit, but I calculated how much of a plastic I have avoided over the course of a year, which converts to approximately some 15 kgs of plastic. I realized that even small actions can lead to significant impact. I come from an area deeply affected by mining. My village is deeply affected by mining. Soil erosion, water scarcity is a common issue there. And interestingly, the communities there had developed traditional way, like simple techniques like check dams, storage pits, and significant, which helps in significant water supply during dry spells. I come from Xavier Institute of Management, where sustainability isn't just a buzzword, it's integrated in the very fabric of our hostel life and our campus life. Recently, I participated in a tree plantation drive where I, along with my peers, helped plant saplings in and around the campus. I must tell you, it was a fulfilling and enriching experience, knowing that these saplings will grow and contribute to nature and environment even when I am long gone. Within my campus, I have seen sustainability built and embedded in everyday life, like using solar panels, rooftops, heaters, biogas plants, and whatnot. In fact, we initiated a small composting bin in our hostel arena and hostel dining areas. And activities like this taught me that resilience isn't about doing something monumental right away. It's about taking small, thoughtful actions, but for a consistent period of time. As today morning, Tathagat sir rightly mentioned that something as small as a Odia letter word "da" can make a huge statement. And since we are talking about resilience, what better place than Odisha to talk about resilience? From facing funny 1 year to hosting the International Hockey World Cup another, Odisha have been the epitome for resilience, and we truly are India's best kept secret. So my key takeaway is that building resilience against climate change doesn't always require dramatic and drastic measures. Sometimes it's about taking one step at a time. It may be as small as using a reusable plastic bag. And let's ask ourselves, what simple habit can we adopt to make a positive impact to our planet? Small, conscious actions can together contribute to a change of positive change, building a sustainable and resilient future. Thank you.
Thank you, Amir Atik, for sharing your thoughts. For the next speaker, we have from BJP Autonomous College, Bhubaneswar, Anandita Mishra. Let's have you on the stage. ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ କଥା ମୁଁ କହିବାକୁ ଚାହିଁବି, ମୁଁ ଜାଣିଛି ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ଭୋକ ହବଣି, ଟାଇମ୍ ବି ହେଲାଣି, ଆଉ 4 ଜଣ ସ୍ପିକର ଅଛନ୍ତି, ତାଙ୍କର କଥା ଆମେ ସମସ୍ତେ ଶୁଣିଦେବା, ତାପରେ ଲଞ୍ଚ ଆଡ଼କୁ ଯିବା. ପ୍ଲିଜ୍ be with us. Thank you for your patience. Anandita Mishra from BJP Autonomous College, Bhubaneswar. Over to you.
Hello. Hello, everyone. To all the esteemed dignitaries and my dear colleagues, people from all around the state and beyond, accept my regards. I am Anandita Mishra from BJP Autonomous College, an undergrad pursuing anthropology first year. I'm a very hopeless romantic at heart. Everyone will ask me, why am I choosing this topic when I'm starting my speech? Every other song you will hear today is Baharo Si Sadgi, पत्तों सी पायलिया की रिमझिम, सारी रात तकिया तकिया रहूं, तारों जैसी आंखें, बंगले के नीचे बैरी के पीछे. Even in Odia, we have legendary dictions like Ago Bonahansini, Dena Khoje Akasara Nirasima. But, the only thing I see today is concrete. If I need to look at a sunset, I have to oscillate my head left to right to see it between two buildings or between some window grills to just catch a glimpse of the sunset. I have to first cover my head and hair with 2 layers of dupatta to experience the Baharosi Sadgi. And I have to look with a Samsung S22 Ultra to have a clearly visible look at the Chansa Roshan epistle. Akasara Nirasima, the blue descent of the sky is lost and is just filled with scorching, unbearable, blinding heat and light. It's astonishing to me that not the nature, but the wire-laden street lights and building roofs have become some kind of aesthetic shots and in everyone's phones, Instagram, etc. Just 10 to 12 years back, I have clear memory of spending nights on my terrace gazing at uncountable stars sequenced like sequins on a bridal lehenga. The sky full of blue, pink, white stars made the night sky look like an ocean full of little swimming fishes. But now, those scenes I get to see only in the interim villages of my native, Padatihada Jagatsinghpur and my maternal village, Khordha. These villages are surrounded by lush green forests and is devoid of any kind of light pollution and smog, which is making the sky look greyish and dull today. I am very proud to say that at BJP Autonomous College, we have saved nearly 17 indigenous species of trees and helped them grow and flourish. Our students take a headfast step along whenever any plantation drive comes along, and we have planted more 500 plus trees within 2 years. I have a story. There was a coconut tree in my plot, which was a nuisance to many of my neighbors. Everybody wanted that aesthetic premise of themselves. Nobody wanted that coconut tree to be there, which caused fights between us and our neighbors. The cyclone Fani came. We all went out after the cyclone was over, and we saw a terrible thing. The tip of the coconut tree had fallen, And obviously, when the tip of a coconut tree breaks, it dies. But with its death also, it provided an angular protection to our house, stopping strong wind gushes to break the glasses of our second floor, which could have caused us severe harm. And the big leaves of the coconut tree had fallen into the plots of those neighbors who were fighting with us to cut it off, and helped them to stop drainage water into entering their so-called aesthetic premises. As a student of anthropology, summing my talk up, I study about every aspect related to humans. But the only thing which surprises me, and still is the question to many such people seeking the answer, that how could man be so selfish? These trees, the whole white sky, the great oceans, the ecology-bearing mountains, and the lush green bushes, forests, sweet-smelling rain-laden soil, and beautiful birds and animals chirping by. How could this be of any harm to human? Well, this couldn't be of any harm to human, but human is a big harm to all of them. Let's build and take a step towards climate change and build resilience. Thank you for being such a patient audience.
Thank you, Anandita, for the well-chosen words and beautifully presented. Thank you so much. For the next student speaker, we have RD Women's University Bhubaneswaru, Subbalakshmi Jai Singh. Welcome on the stage.
नमस्कार, जय जगन्नाथ। मो ना सुबलक्ष्मी जय सिंह, रमादेवी महिला विश्वविद्यालय सांबादिकता एवं गणयोगायोग विभाग द्वितीय वर्षर छात्री अटे। आज जहाँ कार्यक्रम जहाँकि टॉपिक थिला क्लाइमेट चेंज। क्लाइमेट चेंज कौन, रीजन कौन, क्लाइमेट चेंज कौन पई हुए, यह ऑलरेडी समस्ते जानी आलोचना है। क्लाइमेट चेंज रो बेसिकली जहाँ इफेक्ट पकाउची बा जहाँ तार अफेक्ट रोची, ओडिशा गोटे कृषि प्रधान देश, गोटे राज्य, कृषि प्रधान राज्य जहाँ आम जानी, गोटे फार्मर इमोशनली, मोराली एंड एथिकली कनेक्टेड विथ फार्मिंग एंड क्लाइमेट चेंज रो जहाँ इफेक्ट रोची, यह गोटे कृषक उपरे बहुत प्रभाव पकाए। एवं आम जानी कि क्लाइमेट चेंज रो क्लाइमेट चेंज पाई जितेबले वर्षा ठीक समय होई पारेनी, लेट हुए। एबे आमे जानिचे जून रो फर्स्ट रु वर्षा आरंभ हो जाए, किंतु ए वर्ष अगस्त रो लास्ट वर्षा आरंभ होछि। तो ए सब रीजन आ मु गोटे कथा कहबी कि क्लाइमेट चेंज को रोकिबा पाई बहुत सारा इनिशिएटिव गवर्नमेंट तरफ ही पारबो। आमे अवेयरनेस करि परबा छुआ मानकू, स्कूल ग्राउंड लेवल लो आमे विलेज रे बोलो आवर करि परबा कि क्लाइमेट चेंज कोन पई हुए, एहार रीजन कोन, आमे एहा को केमती रोकी परबा। मु पर्सनली कहबी मो बाबा वर्तमान सुधा 2-3 हजार गछ लगे थे आम गाँव रे। तो सी मते छुआटे होती मते गछ लगे डाकती, कहती मु भी माटी खोलुची, तू भी एमती करे, गछ को आनिक लगा। मुझे बाबा मुझे कहीं करी जे मोर इच्छा होनी। बाबा कहे मुझे तुम बाबा कहीं कर मत गोटे जिनस कहीदे मनीष धोखा दे पारे, गछ मत धोखा दबनी, एटा मु जानी ए जिनस कही मत कहले। एंड जिते मु बड़ हेली से गछ विराट आकार जितेटा गछ लगे एबे भी सुधा से गछ अच्छी, फल भी देइछि। तो आउ गोटे कथा कहबी, जहाँ भी प्लास्टिक रो बॉटल आसे बाबा ताकू काटिकी गछरे टंगाती, चढ़ी पर आसिले पानी पीबे, डेली पानी दियंती। आउ प्लास्टिक बोतल को कणा करके गछ मूल रखती, केमती धीरे धीरे पानी जीव, गछ मूल पानी डेली आसबो। मु तो देई परिबिने डेली से बॉटल रे पानी भर्ती कर दिले, से धीरे धीरे गछ मूल को जीव। तो मो बाबांकर ये सब कथा मोर भी मन पड़गला आई टाइप कनक्लेव हवा दरकार आ मु कहबी कि एटा विलेज लेवल हवा दरकार कारण क्लाइमेट चेंज आम ये समस्ते जानते क्लाइमेट चेंज कौन किंतु विलेज लेवल को आप जीवे को लोक को पचारे कि क्लाइमेट चेंज कौन आप कहले क्लाइमेट चेंज कौन हुए लोक मैंने जानी ही ना लिटरेली मुझे कहबी लोक मैंने कही भी पारे क्लाइमेट चेंज कौन क्या कहीं हुए आम केमती रोकी पारिबा तो यहाँ गोटे पदक्षेप नवा दरकार कि अवेयरनेस ग्राउंड लेवल हवा दरकार जहाँद्वारा कि लोक आवर हो पारे इनवॉल्वमेंट भी दरकार स्कूल रे छुआ मान को गछ लगे इनकरेज करवा एनवायरमेंटल डे रे छुआ मान को ये सब प्रोग्राम रे इंक्लूड करवा से मारे जेमती इन्फ्लुएंस हेबे कि आमे भी गछ लगेबू आमे भी परिवेश को सुरक्षित रखिबू दैट्स इट थैंक यू
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद शुभलक्ष्मी जय सिंह संस्कार प्रकृति संरक्षण गोटे संस्कार और संस्कार घर ही आरंभ हुए तांको बापा ठारू से प्रेरणा पाई बहुत सुंदर भाव में सरल भाव में निज कथा रखिंट बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद एमती सिंपल मनीष दरकार जी सिंपल भाव में निज कथाटी को कहि पारिबे एक्चुअली गाँव में कौन बहुत जगार आवश्यकता अच्छी जाकि बुझेबा दिने फेसबुक रे मु मध्य गोटे कथा लिखी जे ब्राजिल रे ऑस्ट्रेलिया रे अनटाइमली फ्लड होची यूएस रे अधिक रु अधिक टर्नेडो होची ओडिशा रे आमर ईस्टर्न जोन रो सब स्टेट रे अधिक रु अधिक साइक्लोन्स होची तो सेथिरे मते फेसबुक रे पब्लिक कमेंट आछि जे आपण अजथटारे एजेंडा काहे कि फैलाउछन्ते पैनिक कहीं करुँच आइस एज रो वर्ल्ड धीरे धीरे शिफ्ट होची आईटा भी शिफ्टिंग रो गोटे नेचुरल प्रोसेस गोटे एजेंडा प्रोपागेंडा आपण स्प्रेड करंतु नाही तो खाली गाँव रे नुहंती इंटरनेशनली बहुत लोक अज्ञ अछंती जहाँ को अधिक रु अधिक आमे हुए तो मेसेज दे कि तांको पाखरे कथा पहुंचाई परिबा जे एक्चुअली क्लाइमेट चेंज इज रियल एंड इट हैज हैपेंड यस्टरडे टुडे वी आर जस्ट ट्राइंग मेकिंग अ डेस्परेट अटेम्प्ट टू मे बी स्टॉप इट इन द नेक्स्ट 100 years so that आउ तीनटा पर पीढ़ी पर लोक टिके बंची पारिबे अम्लजान पाई पारिबे for the next one I would invite so we have last 3 we have now PN Autonomous College Khordha student Roop Kumar Seth. Let's have him on the stage.
Very good afternoon to one and all present over here. It's a great honor to be here and to be a part of this conclave. And also a lot of thanks and my co-guide also to giving me such an opportunity to take part here. So well, all of us quite aware of this current scenario of climate change affecting our sustainability of living. I want to share one of my experience which I really felt in my older days. Yes, it's really the climate is changing in a vast way. So basically I'm from Balangir, from Western Odisha. I completed my schooling from Kendriya Vidyalaya. So it was the month of summer. Me and my friends planned for a trekking. As all you know, at that time there was no cell phone, no smartphone. I want to say there is no internet services. So we always like to explore the nature's beauty. Actually, there was a hill just at a distance from our school. We usually went for trekking in Sundays. So while trekking, we felt that we always talked about, yes, the climate is really harsh to us now. After having much conversation with us, we always talked about the real beauty of nature. Wow, the nature is so beautiful. And also the birds chirping melodiously, waving their song through the air. But nowadays, that type of voice I can't just hear. Unfortunately, after passing my 10th from there, I unable to went back to that place again. But after 5 years, when I revisited that place, I see a lot of drastic changes in that particular area. The landscape was completely changed. A bypass road was built in the interest of which houses, buildings, indicating the emergence of sustainability, urbanization. I couldn't see any birds anymore. The pond, which used to be filled, that pond was totally dried up. At that point, I was ambivalent about the situation. I quite happy watching my hometown being developed, and at the same time, I'm feeling a lot of consciousness about my motherland, or the climatic condition. What we are seeing today is changing day-to-day life. So I won't take much more time. I just want to say that it's our own responsibility. It's our duty to take a positive response from the people and to keep our motherland safe, and we always follow for a good sustainable development. ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ଛୋଟ ପଏମଟା ଗୋଟେ ଲେଖିଛି in Odia literature. Hope you all like it. ମାତୃଭୂମି ତ ଅଟୁଟ ପ୍ରେମ, ମାତୃଭୂମି ତ ଅଟୁଟ ପ୍ରେମ, ସବୁଜ ସୁନ୍ଦର ଭରା, ତୃପ୍ତି ଦିଏ ତ ସବୁ ଋତୁ, ବର୍ଷା ଶୀତ ଓ ଖରା, ଗଢ଼ି ହେଇଛୁ ଆମେ ତ ପଞ୍ଚତତ୍ୱରୁ, ଭୁଲି ଯିବୁନି ଆମେ ଏହି ସତ୍ୟକୁ, କଥା ଦଉଛୁ ତୋର ରକ୍ଷା କରିବୁ, ଭୁଲି ଯିବୁନି ଆମେ ଏହି ଶପଥକୁ। ଆଉ ଏହି କଥା ମୁଁ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ କୁହେ, ଏଇ ଆମ ମାତୃଭୂମି को भड़ा घर नुहे, एई आम मातृभूमि को भड़ा घर नुहे। धन्यवाद। जय जगन्नाथ। हर हर महादेव।
Thank you, Rup Kumar Seth from PN Autonomous College, Khorda. Last but one speaker, IIMC Dhenkanalru Shivam Mishra. Let's have you on the stage.
Hello.
Finally, I'm here. Very good afternoon to everyone present over here. This is Shivam Mishra. I am representing IMC Dhenkanal, and I am from Chhattisgarh. So today I will narrate my story from my hometown and my Chhattisgarh. My hometown, which is Manindgarh, it's a very small place. It's not as big as Bhubaneswar. You know, we don't have these 5-star hotels and all those skyscrapers, but we have beautiful nature. I want everyone to picturize my childhood. As a child, you know, my house was in front of a large mountain where every evening I used to see sunset. From my backside of the house, I used to see rivers flowing, and during the rainy seasons, you know, it used to turn into sea. Close to my house, it was large grounds where I used to play as a kid, and it was beautiful. But with time, you know, development hit my place. Sorry. Okay. Am I audible? Yeah. So I would say with time, you know, the development hit my place, and, you know, the construction started to happen. There were houses on my ground. My rivers started to shrink. I could not see the mountains anymore. But with time, you know, you start ignoring these things. You're busy in your own stuff and things go on, you know. When I used to go to my school, you know, I used to navigate through a very big forest. It was beautiful. And with time, you know, I passed out my school, passed out my college, things changed. One day I was thinking of, let's revisit my place, you know, let's revisit my school, let's have a nostalgic moment looking at those forests. And I went through that road, and that forest was no more there. That forest was not left anymore, you know. And I cried that day. I cried a lot. It has happened. You know, I was crying at my ground, and I was crying like crazy. And then an old man came close to me, asked, "What happened, child?" And I told that, see, there was a forest close to my school. You know, I used to navigate through that area. It's no more. Why you have to build houses? You have to cut forests to build houses. You can build houses in my colony. There's still places left. And then that old man told me a crazy story, you know. My colony was built on a forest. And I was like, no, I have seen my colony, and no, it was not forest there, there was river. And then he said, yes, there were rivers, but there was a dense forest there. So I asked, what happened then? Then he said that a house was built, and then the series of houses started to construct.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first house built on that forest was my house. That day something hit me. And I thought, I have to do something of it. And then I started to have a collaboration. I started an NGO. We started to plant out trees. We used to plant trees. We used to do plantation drives. Because I had to do something. That moment was always stuck inside my heart. And once I planted trees around the roads, around both sides of the roads, because I thought roads needs to have plants around it. But the government had better plan. They made a footpath over it. And I was again very devastated, that I am trying to plant trees. I am trying to bring nature, but what's happening? What's happening? So I was sitting on that leftover place, the only leftover place in my colony, and it was fully polluted with plastics and other stuff. I was very angry, so I started cleaning that ground, I started cleaning that ground, and suddenly the owner of that place got to know that a boy is trying to clean that ground. And I got to know that he was a politician over there, and then he connected to me, and he connected me to a very large NGO. And to tell you guys, I was the youth ambassador of that NGO. We planted thousands of trees at the right place with their permission. And all I want to teach you guys is, observe your place, take actions, and take actions in the right manner. Go ahead, whatever you want to do in your life. And I want to end my speech by presenting a nazm of Javed Akhtar. He said, जीना मुश्किल है कि आसान, जरा देख तो लो, लोग लगते हैं परेशान, जरा देख तो लो, और ये नया शहर तो है खूब बसाया तुमने, क्यों पुराना हुआ वीरान, जरा देख तो लो, और तुम कहते हो कि मैं गैर हूँ, मगर फिर भी शायद निकल आए कोई पहचान, जरा देख तो लो. जय हिंद, जय भारत, जय छत्तीसगढ़.
Soft spoken, well spoken. Thank you, Shivam Mishra. For the final speech, student speaker, last one. We have from FM University, Tapan Kumar Das. Let's have you on the stage, please. Round of applause, everyone. Thank you. After this, we will break for lunch.
Good afternoon to all. My name is Tapan Kumar Das. I am from Fakir Mon University, Baleswar. And now I am pursuing my master's in environmental science and I am in the first year of this course. And I have graduated from Odisha University of Agriculture and Technology in Botany Honours. I have a background of both agricultural and environmental science subjects. So I know all the ill effects of climatic changes. Now, I am feeling happy for being given opportunity to speak on the given topic, climatic change. I would like to share a real life experience on myself about fight against pollution. As I belong from a rural area of Cuttack, that is Salepur, where my grandparents are living, and I used to go and stay there in many occasions. And the area is covered full of trees, plants, and plenty of varieties of trees. And it looks very pollution free. The atmosphere seems to be very clear. But I observed that the people of the villages are not aware about the soil pollution because they doing daily activities with improper way of waste disposals, which is very bad for us. They don't know where to throw the battery cells or the unserviceable electronic items, etc. So one day I decided to educate them. So in a proper way, I decided to arrange some school and college going students and some well-known person and educate them about how to dispose waste materials. So by this way, I help them to manage the waste. And one more thing is that nowadays, people only focuses on polluted areas rather than unpolluted areas because they don't know that unpolluted areas, to make the unpolluted areas keeping safe is more important than protecting the polluted areas. And now I want to share some of my university's initiatives that are taken to protect against this pollution. Our university organizes a beach cleaning camp with the help of NCC units. And one more thing is that our university uses biodegradable waste to make vermicompost, which are used as fertilizers in our university gardens. Our university also collect waste papers and then recycle it to reduce carbon emissions. And rainwater harvesting is also done in our university. Recently, our university has awarded with Prakruti Mitra Puraskar in related to environmental safety, which is a very proud moment for me and for our university. So, at last but not the least, I would like to conclude my speech by saying the slogan of Save the Plant, Save the Life. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.
Ekdam perfect time. Tapan Kumar Das, right 3 minutes he ended his speech. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the formal and first session of Dharitri Youth Conclave 2024. We will now break for lunch. All the speakers are requested to come join us on the stage. Student speakers. ସମସ୍ତେ ଆମକୁ ଷ୍ଟେଜରେ ଜଏନ୍ କରିବେ ଫର୍ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ ଫଟୋଗ୍ରାଫ ଆଉ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ମୁଁ ଅନୁରୋଧ କରିବି ଦୟାକରି ଆପଣ ମଧ୍ୟାହ୍ନ ଭୋଜନ ପାଇଁ ଆଗେଇ ଯାଆନ୍ତୁ ଆଉ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ଏହା ମଧ୍ୟ କହିବି ଯେ 3:30 ରୁ 4ଟା ଭିତରେ ଆମେ ରେଡି ହେଇଯିବା ଆମର ମ୍ୟୁଜିକାଲ ସେସନ ପାଇଁ we have this national band with us here today. That's a surprise. Not a surprise. Apana samaste already stand here dekhi dechandi. But the songs are a surprise for sure. So please join us back. We will start the band performance sharp at 4 o'clock. Thank you everyone. Let's break for lunch. All student speakers are to come to the stage. Alok Mahapatra, Ridhi Agarwal, Archit Amlan Behra, Amir Atik, Anandita Mishra, Subhalakshmi Jaisingh, Roop Kumar Seth, Shivam Mishra, Tapan Kumar Das. If you are hearing your name, come join us. Student speakers, all 9 student speakers, join us on the stage for a group photograph. Yeah, we have one more. I think he's Alok. Alok, Riddhi, Archit, Amir, Anandita, Subhalakshmi, Roop, Shivam, Tapan. We need you all. All right, thank you. Thank you so much, students. Everyone, please have your lunch. If you already have had it, you are smart and you are here also, so you have done it both. Thank you.